Absolutely superb. What a drive.
In recent months, the beautiful coastal city of Valencia has endured significant hardship. However, its unbreakable community spirit has brought the city back to life. And once again, the Cartódromo Internacional Lucas Guerrero opens its doors to the IAME Winter Cup 2025. We're looking forward to this one. The venue is looking forward to this one, as we're at the Lucas Guerrero circuit. Year of opening 2014, event record set yesterday. In time qualifying by Timo Ramekers in the senior category, 55.410. But that's not all, because this track has improved throughout the years that we have been coming here, and it's got better and better as we've gone on. The circuit itself, though, 1,428 metres. It's a 210-metre shot down into turn one. It's 135 metres down the back straight through the fast sweeping corners of the final sector. Then you've got it 9 metres wide, 2 metres of elevation. It's a flat circuit, it's a calm circuit, but it's also a fierce one for racing. Turns, though, there are many of them, 19 in total, 11 to the right, 8 to the left, including the one hairpin, and those major overtaking opportunities, well, they're all over the place. We see them all over. We see them into turn 1, turns 3, 5 and 6, 7. We see them into 11, 12 and 13. And, of course, that all-important final chicane. My goodness, how many times have we seen a lunge of the century down into that final chicane? Races and champions have been decided at that very corner. So very much looking forward to seeing what is going to be happening when we get into those all-important races later today. But those top speeds, though, drivers reaching it 112 kilometers per hour into that many braking zones in towards turn 1 and 2, averaging around 86 kilometers an hour around the entirety of the circuit. It's a fast-flowing, demanding track, perfect for the Winter Cup in 2025. Myself, Anthony Jordan, and Andrew Mather in the commentary box. Well, Andrew, 5 minutes ago, it was beautiful blue sky and sunshine. However, in the last 10 minutes, I'm not joking, I'm getting flashbacks from IWF.
Yes. Yesterday we had beautiful conditions. We were talking about, oh, it's great to be, in Spain. It's nice and warm. We've suffered in England with 4 degrees, what seems consistently for the last 2 months. But yes, there is a bit of the fog back, like we had at the end of the 2024 season for IWF at Zweira. I still think it's not as bad as we had at IWF, and so there's good clearance over the circuit. So fingers crossed it doesn't get any worse, and we will be racing in a few moments' time. There's Andy Rattel on your screens, who had a very good qualifying yesterday and was very quick indeed. The seniors will kick us off for their second round of heats. They had a round yesterday afternoon, which all the news from. We will get you up to speed as we go on, because it's a big entry once again for the IAME Winter Cup, Anthony. Around 235 drivers in total.
Well over 200.
And in the senior category, we're just short of 100 drivers. 72 of them are looking today to race well and qualify through to the Superheats tomorrow. And then ultimately, it's the top 36 who go through to the final on Sunday. So lots to be decided out there.
Certainly is. There's a look at some of our hard-working, dedicated marshals out on the circuit, and even more hard-working this weekend, because most of them have come all the way from the Campeos circuit, because it's very busy motorsport here at the moment. Of course, the car track is running at the moment, and it's also running here. So marshals are at a premium right now in Spain, but great to have them here and working hard on the circuit. And there again, another view of just some of that fog that's creeping in over the circuit. There's a look at the pre-grid, drivers getting ready. There is Kenzo Craigie, the FIA World Champion in the junior category at the back end of last year. He's starting this one on that front row of the grid. P4 in his first race yesterday. Had a good, strong result in that one. Curious to see how we can get on today with these, new conditions compared to yesterday.
Yeah, different conditions to what they've had in a competitive sense. And, well, Kenzo Craigie had that great end to his IAME X30 international season. Won IWF in the junior category. Is one of several drivers moving up to the senior category. This is their first international level event in the senior category, and we will be watching them eagerly to see if they can continue their form from last year. The carts are rolling out, and it's ready to go through the grid for the first time today. Let's take you through the 33 runners for this one. It's the qualifying heat for Groups C and F and X30 Senior.
Certainly is. There it is. Andy Rattel and Kenzo Craigie on row number 1. Peter Stiller, Keane Geraghty on row 2. Lewis Bird and Marius Barryberg, both of them finishing in 3rd place in their respective races yesterday. Kevin Lantinga, not a great start, dropped to P20 after a penalty. Marcus Glum joining him alongside on row number 4. Arthur Huang and Samuel Woolley on row 5. Alberto Hurtado and Max Camalanda on row number 6. Johan Aluja and Thomas Hansen go from row 7. Kevin Backer and Luke Taylor round out row number 8.
On the 9th row of the grid, Samuel Ifrid and Otto Pikkanen will be looking to move forward. Pikkanen did yesterday, went up to 9th place in his first race. Roxanne Lantinga and Tristan Powell complete the top 20 on row 10. Guido Bedoli and Joao Barros go from row number 11. Isaac Sayer and Luna Clare go from row number 12. Marcel Matijevic and Aaron Cavillo start on row 13. Sebastian Cherasov and Marcus Shilkunas, who had a tough timed qualifying yesterday, go from row 14. Brew Fraser and Kiana Wellens go from row 15. Mikhail Gorecki and Ulysses Crespo Murata go from row 16. 33 strong field completed by Rafael Boulard, who had a really tough day yesterday. Was disqualified for being underweight in both timed qualifying and the first round of heats. Everybody in X30 Senior has done 1 heat so far. They will do 5 in total in this round-robin phase. All drivers from their timed qualifying performance have been drawn into either Group A, B, C, D, E or F. And for this race, it's Group C and F kicking off round number 2. There's Martin Bean, our race director for this weekend. He's standing over the gantry. It'll be his job in a few moments' time to bring this race to order, get in 2x2 formation, and then get us going for what will be 11 laps, 15.7 kilometres. And there's a quick look at our team, busy in race control as well.
Certainly is, being led by Joanna Falcao in the middle, joined by David Manchester and Mikael Reddin in the background there. All 3 of them watching very closely of the multitude of cameras they've got out there. If the broadcast doesn't see it, trust me, race control will. You can't get away with anything out there. Drivers then making their way into that final chicane. It's not the first race of the weekend, but it's certainly the first race that you at home will see. Welcome to everyone joining us from around the world. Make sure you stay seated and stay watching, glued to that TV screen, because it will be a brilliant day of racing into the tram lines. And we are going racing down in towards turn number 1. It is a good start for the front row. Andy Rattel, after that bad result yesterday, needs a good start, and he's got that good start. He's got the run. He's got the jump. He leads heading in towards turn number 3.
Yeah, much better start for Andy Rattel, who's had some very good single lap pace. There's a lot of karts having to take avoiding action and going into turn 3. It's a bit of a bottleneck into turn 3. There's 2 karts detached from the rest of the field, but they have got going again. Leaders heading through turn 8, 9 and 10 now. A crucial run this. We're going to see a lot of overtaking into turn 11 for those new to this Valencia circuit. Hard on the brakes, then going to wind it up again through 12, 13, and then onto the long run. 135 metres between turns 14 and 15. Flat out through this next part of the course for the biggest braking zone of them all. The final triple part chicane, 1, 2, 3. Early stages, end of lap number 1. It's Andy Rattel for Pantano Racing Team, who've looked good so far this week at the IAME Winter Cup. The French driver leads by just over 0.6 of a second.
Yep, Lewis Bird back there in 2nd place. You can see him battling away with Kenzo Craigie, who has dropped down to 3rd now. Kenzo Craigie had a really strong end to his first race the other day. He managed to push his way forward, just like he's doing now down the inside there. Nicely done through turn number 7, pushing his way up into 2nd place and not losing much time there. But now they have to really think here. They have to think, what can we do to try and close that one? Actually, Kenzo Craigie under investigation. Well, here's something that's happening. Keane Geraghty down the inside. He now steps it up to 3rd place.
And Keane Geraghty, who's already got a heat win on his scorecard so far this week, is one of 3 drivers who was on 0 points overnight. We'll meet the rest of those drivers later on as we go through the programme of this 2nd round for X30 Senior. But Geraghty, tough start to the week. Had an engine failure in testing and practice on Thursday. And obviously a bit of work for the team that he and his dad Nigel run together. They've got a couple of drivers here this weekend, but this is their main effort in the hands of Britain's one of Britain's top drivers in X30 Senior, and he likes the one-off events as well. And it's one of the things that we were talking about yesterday in terms of the IAME Winter Cup. There's no championship points. There's no thinking about the longevity and you know, taking the risks of. This is all about just winning this weekend. Some great prizes up for grabs this weekend, and it is going to produce some really, really hardcore racing.
Certainly is. Cash prizes up for grabs. I think, what's it, €1,000 for your race winner in that final. So certainly pays for the weekend in some aspects. But there we go. Down across the start-finish line they go. Looks like moves in the background there. Down the inside. Nice send there for Kevin Lantinga, I believe that is. And nice little chop and change there. All the meanwhile, these three starting to, are they working together here to close that gap? It's going up though, 0.8 of a second between themselves and Rattel.
Yeah, Rattel's pace from yesterday as Garrity goes down the inside of Craigie to take second place. That's a repeat of the move that we saw yesterday in these drivers' first race. It was the race versus Group E that Group F. Group F, essentially everyone who started on the anti-pole side of the grid, second, fourth, sixth, etc., etc. So these drivers are going to get very, very accustomed to each other if they're not already. Let's see if Cian Garrity can close that gap in on Andy Rattel, because Andy Rattel's been doing a fantastic job. Yellow flags out through the final chicane, and that is why the 292.
Ready, P33 right at the back, so that's not really going to affect him too much. Race continuing then. Roxanne Lantinga now with the fastest lap of the race. So good pace all the way throughout this field. Roxanne Lantinga currently in 11th place, is up 8 places in this race so far. So looking very strong, but the strongest though, and the strongest yesterday after a bad qualifying, was the Lithuanian Markus Šilkūnas. He is fighting his way through this field once again.
Yeah, Markus Šilkūnas wasn't particularly happy with how his qualifying went. He's a very experienced driver, but he's has the 276 is Skammerlander, I think, who's out of this first heat of the day. That's a shame for the Swiss driver. But yeah, Markus Šilkūnas, very experienced driver on the international stage. But in terms of IAME X30 racing, that's not been his bag the last year or so. So he's getting up to speed. Qualifying didn't go his way, but you're absolutely right, Anthony. 2 times now we've seen the Lithuanian driver fly through the order. That's a gain of 15 places. Same for Roxanne Lantinga, as he mentioned, fastest lap at the moment. Roxanne moved through to 9th place yesterday, so looking to beat that tally again today. And this is good in terms of race pace. You know, we'll talk about qualifying and how that went yesterday, but we're now going through these heats. We're going to find out for each of the drivers, what is their race pace like? How's the wagon performing over 11 laps?
Yeah.
Because that's where we're going to see drivers start to come through the order as Lewis Bird goes down the inside of Cian Garrity. Nice clean move there by the driver who was on the podium in this race last year. A long way to go before we start talking about finals again, but the driver on the BMR this year has had a good start to things, and he'll now look to close in on the race leader.
Well, closing in, he is already doing the gap down to 0.5 of a second now between Bird and Rattel with that fastest lap of the race. So the Frenchman just needs to be careful here as he tries to maintain his tyres here, because it's a long old weekend of racing here. Tyre strategy has changed. It changed a little bit for qualifying back to, I think, the original way it was done many, many years ago, where you received your tyres as you pushed the kart through the pre-grid gate to get into the holding bay ready to go. This is on board with Andy Rattel. Looking backwards here, you can see all the vibrations going through the exhaust pipe there and showing how close and bunched up they are going into those tram lines at the start. It just shows how much you've got to be on the ball there to keep it so close like that. But going into turn 1, look how much they stay close. There's nothing between them. It just shows that it's so dedicated into the braking zones into turn 1.
Absolutely. This is another look at the move by Bird down the inside of Garrity that gave him second place. Also, just to report, saw out of our commentary box window, problem for João Barros through turn number 3. So the French driver racing for Victory Lane Karting, who are looking to have another good season. They had a tremendous 2024, the French-based squad. But unfortunately for Bowers right now, he's fallen down to 30th place.
Yeah, indeed. So chops and change all the way throughout this field. Right, this has closed up tremendously. And I suspect we might see a move here at some point by Lewis Bird if he feels he's got that waft to get it done. So let's see what happens here as we enter onto lap number 9 of this race. 8 of them completed. And all the meanwhile, all 4 of these drivers are going to close up. Now, if you were at the circuit yesterday, you will have seen the first of the 3 qualifying heats that we had. And I've got to say, Andrew, they were pretty feisty, weren't they, when they got to the end? I'm expecting today could be a similar story here because, of course, you've got Peter Stiller, who's in P5. He's not in this group right now. He is on his own, but as soon as there's a first move by one of these drivers, trust me, he will be part of that group, and he's had some good running there. But then you've also got the likes of Marius Barryberg. He also had good results yesterday and got caught up in that lead battle. So again, we are expecting something like this as we go on to the penultimate lap of the race, and there is the move by Lewis Bird down the inside into turn 1. Nicely done, fast corner to do it on, but didn't waste any time there.
Yeah, that was another sweet move from Lewis Bird as Sam Woolley has received a warning flag. That'll be a +5 second in-race time penalty that can't be appealed. So Woolley will move down the order. And Lewis Bird just looking really calm. I had a chat to him yesterday and he seems ready for the fight. He's got a good level of experience. He's not one of those drivers who's having to do the junior to senior transition. That was his task 12 months ago. And well, right now, of the drivers who featured towards the front of the order last year, he's looking pretty good. He has got another one of the drivers who was on that podium, and he's just gone down the inside of Andy Rattel. Cian Geraghty, 3rd here last year, is looking pretty good. We're on to the final lap of this first heat of the day. Geraghty's going to defend ahead of Rattel. That's good news for Lewis Bird. He can start to break away now. Kenzo Craigie's still there in the black and white Victory Lane karting 300 in 4th place. Having a little look down the inside. Another nice move there from Kenzo Craigie, puts him up to 3rd. And for Andy Rattel, he had the speed in the first half of this race, but it just seems like he's fading a bit in the latter stages. That's going to be something to think about for the team, for Pantano Racing Team over the course of the day. But Lewis Bird seems to have timed this to perfection. He's got a good gap. He's not going to need to defend into that final chicane.
Well, no, he didn't need to defend because it was Geraghty who did the defending for him into turn 1. That move there just secured this spot here, had no drama whatsoever. Into that final chicane then, first race of the day, 4th of the weekend, goes to Lewis Bird, Cian Geraghty, and Kenzo Craigie across the line. Andy Rattel, pole sitter, does finish well, sits there in P4, but a good result nonetheless. Peter Stiller, Marius Barryberg finishing in the top 6 from Kevin Lantinga, Marcus Glum and Hurtado finishing in 9th place. Roxanne Lantinga rounds out the top 10 out of Marcus Schukunas, who once again has a very good result in that race. So looking forward to seeing what's going to be happening later on today with the groups in C and F. Make sure you stay tuned with that one, and of course on all the socials as well. There'll be updates throughout the course of the weekend. Well, Andrew, I would say compared to yesterday, that was a relatively calmer
one. I think yesterday was almost a little bit of boisterous energy of like, we've not raced against each other at this level for a good few months. It's finally here. You know, today is going to be a lot of rounds, a lot of heats. Don't want to expend too much energy from yourself physically, from your materials, tyres, chassis, etc. That was a professional job by Lewis Bird to take his first win of the race meeting. Means he will stay on 3 points in the intermediate classification. More on that later. There is your provisional result. Bird from Geraghty, Craigie, Rattel, Stiller, Marius Berryberg, Kevin Lantinga. That's more like it from Kevin Lantinga, P7. Had a difficult run yesterday to P20. The rest of the order: Gloom, Hurtado, Roxanne Lantinga, Marcus Schukunas, Otto Pikkanen, Vanaluja. That's not the kind of result that Vanaluja would have wanted. P13 after a strong start yesterday. Sayer, Huang, Ifrid, Hansen, Cavillo, Vellens, Powell all in the top 20. Luke Taylor, Sam Woolley. Remember, Woolley has a 5-second penalty to be applied. Brew Fraser, Michael Garecki and Ulysses Crespo all in the top 25. Guido Bedoli, Luna Claret, Rafael Boulard, Marcel Matijevic and Joao Barros, the last of the 30 finishers, 3 retirements in that race. Max Kamalander, Sebastian Cherysov and Kevin Bakker.
Well, there's your race winner, Lewis Bird, back into Parc Ferme now. Of course, everything will get checked over to make sure it's all been good. And obviously, as we alluded to it earlier on, there have been checks have been made and some drivers coming in underweight in multiple different occasions. Here's a look at some of the highlights on that one. Oh dear, that's not the way you warm your tyres up in the morning, but easily done nonetheless. Race start, relatively good, I think, for this one. Pretty calm, pretty collected, everyone getting through, but it was a great start from Andy Rattel. He was just able to break away through turn one, didn't have any drama from Kenzo Craigie from the outside line there, able to sweep it round. He actually dropped down to 3rd place at the start of that one as the rest of the field coming into the concertina, the chicane for the first time. That's the pinch point on the circuit. It's so dramatic. And again, a look at the rear view of Andy Rattel, just showing the commitment from the drivers there, being bunched up so close and showing the vibrations of the rear bumper, the exhaust, everything like that. Brilliant shot there to really showcase what's going on. Do you know what? If we were doing night races and the brakes were really hot,
yeah,
if they glowed red there, that'd be an awesome shot.
It would indeed. This was the move down the inside by Kenzo Craigie, who in his run to that World Championship last year and the IAME Warriors final as well, really improved on his racecraft. He's always had the speed, but his ability to make those overtakes efficiently has really come on. I think he's learned from the other drivers as well. That was Cian Geraghty doing a good move on Kenzo Craigie. 292 of Sebastian Cherysov retired in the early stages. But it's the second half of the race. I say Lewis Bird just, again, very efficient with his overtakes as Max Kamalander would retire with 8 laps to go. Made a move there, did Lewis Bird, past Kenzo Craigie and just picked them off one by one, really.
That certainly did. There again, Lewis Bird making his first move there, heading towards P1, getting past Geraghty at turn number 1. Later on, repeating that very same move, but this time for the race lead, getting past Andy Rattel and streaking his way to the end. Geraghty would get through into 2nd place, and this was kind of like the, I don't want to say the downfall of Andy Rattel, but he would drop back down to P4 in that one. Still a solid result, but not the result he will have wanted. But already we're seeing some dramatics out there. In fact, actually, one of them going to Kenzo Craigie. We saw he was under investigation, and Andrew, you just pointed it out.
Yeah, that's just popped up on our screens. We'll get more news on it when it comes in due course. But and again, results are provisional as we move on to X30 senior groups B and D. But yeah, Kenzo Craigie looks like he's got a 5-second penalty from that first race.
Indeed. Right. Yes, indeed. Right. We head over to, like you're saying, B and D next to one. Eloy Gonzalez on pole for this one. The Spaniard, great qualifying for him. It was an outright pole, 2nd fastest overall throughout the drivers, but still strong result yesterday. Came away with that 2nd place finish. He was very happy. We spoke to him. Here's what he had to say.
Here with Eloy Gonzalez at the end of a very, very hot-paced Group 2 qualifying in X30 Senior. Eloy, what a lap there, 55.4. I think that was about 1/10.5 quicker than anything we've seen so far today. A supreme qualifying, you must be very pleased.
Yeah, the lap was very good, but I had a little bit of traffic, and I think that I can improve a little bit more this lap.
What have you been working on in preparation for this event? You had really good pace here last year, a little bit of bad luck in the final. Are you confident ahead of the weekend?
Yeah, we made a test the last weekend, and I think that we have more speed than the last year, and yeah, we are prepared.
And the 4-minute qualifying, we saw it introduced at the back end of last season's IAME Euro Series, but it's new for this IAME Winter Cup. Does that add a bit of stress at this stage?
Yeah, a little bit, but we work very hard, and I think that we are prepared, me and all the team, to do it.
A lot of very quick junior drivers, or last year's junior drivers, stepping up into the senior category for this season. But yourself, the likes of Adrian Mustinez, Danny Caronini, familiar names at the top. What do you think is going to be the key for keeping the young Chargers back and taking the win this weekend?
Yeah, the final will be very difficult, but right now we are focused on the heats, and yeah.
Well, congratulations, Eloy. Great work, and we'll see you out there on track for those qualifying heats.
Thank you very much.
Great to chat there to Eloy Gonzalez, like we were saying, starting this one on pole position. He'll be joined by Zach Green, who took his first win of the season on that front row. He'll be starting alongside Eloy Gonzalez. Christian Caballero and Patrick Ogrodovchik go from row 2. Clement Utron and Lucas Frederick on row 3. Hugo Besson and Clovis Nougare on row number 4. Adrian Marcinez, last year's winner of this very event in the senior category, starts on row 5. He is joined by Roman Soleil, who unfortunately DNF'd yesterday, and with a penalty, starts this one P10. Harrison Mackie and Alex Pineda go from row 6. They'll have Ruben Moya, Matt Corby on row 7, Nicholas Garcia and Marie Barryberg on row number 8.
Taking off the grid, Marlon Bayer and Noel Sundberg go from row 9. Mark Gernardo needs a good result here, was DQ'd yesterday from his first race and starts on row 10 alongside Kian Gauchi. Rosandan Driver and Thomas Gomez go from row 11. They're ahead of Elias Lehmann and Alfonso Ferreira. They're on row 12. Raul Luis Martinez and Benjamin Borge. They're on row 13, ahead of Morgan Knudsen and Charlie Glumu, who was another driver who was disqualified from his race yesterday for a technical infringement. They're on row 14. Julian Brubacher and Alejandro Suarez go from row 15 to complete the top 30. Daniel Haratse and Victor Sundberg, the brother of Noel, they're on row number 16. It's 33 drivers in total in this one, completed by Mariano Alatorre.
Certainly is. Right, now I believe we do have all drivers out on circuit. It took a while for a couple of them though. Marie Barryberg and Julian Bertbacher were not clocking up on my timing screen here. They still are not. But it says that they are back out on track. So there we go. Drivers making their way then into the final section. We've already seen a very interesting first race there. Some good battles at the front there. Some good moves happening as well as, do I dare say, it's starting to brighten up a little bit here. Andrew, it's looking much better. And you saw with the interview there with Eloy Gonzalez how lovely it was yesterday. I think it hit about 23 degrees in Spanish terms. That's a cold winter's day. But for us people from the UK, that's a balmy summer's July day, that is, in the UK. Right then, here we go then. Drivers making their way into those tram lines. We're ready for another exciting race. Let's see what happens. Lights go out and we are racing down in towards turn number 1. Good start from the front row. Big start from the middle section there. Some drivers getting spat out onto the infield there, but everyone getting through turn 1 cleanly. Here's the pinch point at turn number 2. Is anyone going to get squeezed out wide? No. Now the pinch point at turn 3. Is anyone going to get caught out here? Yes is the answer. In the background, 3-4 carts off out the commentary box window, but we'll see who they are. But the rest of the field at the front, it's a clean getaway, and crucially for Eloy Gonzalez, he maintains that lead.
And he does maintain that lead. Oh, it's out is the 3-1-2 there that will go no further. Rosandan Drivers also had problems. We saw the 244 not getting away very quickly. That was Raul Luis Martinez for ECK Motorsports, who is going to be getting a big score in the intermediate classification, and that's not what you want at this stage. You want to keep those points as low as possible. As down the inside, Eloy Gonzalez will lead, but that was a beautiful move by Christian Caballero as one of the drivers coming through, and we did see some good overtaking from these groups yesterday as well. Apologies, Clement Utron who's come through. Clement Utron who's changed teams in the off-season, is now with Dream Racing. Has had a change of chassis as well. It's on the TB kart last year, is now racing on the Cosmic. The last race that we saw, Anthony, calm, collected. I'm not getting the same feeling at the moment from this one. This is feeling a bit more frantic.
A little bit more frantic, yes. Of course, you can say one of yesterday's winners here, Zach Green, is in this fight, needs to push through. He's dropped back in this race. He's dropped down to P6 or so, and he is trying to fight his way back through the order, but he is in close competition with Thibaut Ramekers at the moment, the young Belgian who has been stepping up recently. He won his first race the other day. As here we go, side by side, moving under braking. That's how we like to see it, but I'm sure the drivers don't like to see that because it's a very fast part of the circuit. Remember, 112 kilometers an hour they're going into that braking zone, into that final chicane, so it's very, very tight.
Nice, good move there by Zach Green. But we often say with drivers, Zach Green is one of these juniors or former juniors that we're talking about who stepped up to the senior category this year. And Zach Green, very experienced driver, of course, was second in the IAME Euro Series final standings. But sometimes when a junior steps up to senior, your racecraft, you've got to be a bit more calculated. You've got to time like we saw with Lewis Bird in the previous race, you've got to time those efforts. Sometimes you've got to hold yourself back a little bit and not go for the temptation of going for the move early. Really sweet moves going on there. That was Hugo Besson round the outside for VDK. Hugo Besson up 4 places, although now, cutting through the chicane there, I think he was close with one of the kids to win drivers, as Utron now going for the lead past Eloy Gonzalez. Tell you what, Clement Utron is looking in really fine fettle here this week so far. He was one of those drivers who was always there or thereabouts in 2024, consistent performer in the top 5. Could have won the IAME Winter Cup last year. For those who weren't here, or maybe not quite remember at the moment, that was a race that probably 1 in 10 drivers could have won last year.
Yeah.
Clement Utron was one of those, but had mechanical problems that took away chance of victory. And the driver immediately behind him, well, he's the driver who took the checkered flag first, but then had a post-race penalty that took the victory officially away from him. Those two are going to try and work together, I think, now. Anthony, they've got a good gap over Hugo Besson behind, 0.6 of a second. Christian Caballero, who's impressed me so far this weekend, Anthony, running well in 4th, just ahead of Patrick Okudovchik.
Certainly so, and no move there from Eloy Gonzalez, and I'm thinking that's probably a smart decision. Yeah, pushing along, not wanting to waste any time, maintaining that gap that they've got between themselves and the group behind. And already we're seeing that gap just fluctuate a little bit. It did go up to 9/10 of a second. It's back down to 8 now as Christian Caballero goes for the fastest lap of the race. The driver from Spain in P4 right now, looking very, very strong. But we'll keep a close eye on that one because he has got Hugo Besson for company just ahead, and also Patrick Ogrodovchik just behind. And Ruben Moya, who's had a brilliant start to his race, he has pushed his way through this field now. He's up 7 places in this race. Yeah,
Ruben Moya, always one to watch. Won the IAME Winter Cup 2 years ago. Finished the IAME Euro Series season in 2024. He was out of the championship stakes, but he finished it with a win. Gonzalez repays the favour on Utron back down the inside. Nice move. Utron doesn't fight it too hard. They won't have lost too much time with that exchange. So Gonzalez retakes the lead. Investigation flag for the 284 of Hugo Besson. I imagine, maybe wrong, but that is probably for what was going on at the final chicane a few laps ago, as we saw on our broadcast cameras, that Besson had to take the escape road.
Yeah, very possibly so. We'll keep a very close eye on that one, of course, as this race goes on. We are at the halfway point now. We're on lap 6 of 11. We're over the halfway point. So plenty of time left in this race for drivers to try and close these gaps back up. But on this one here, Eloy Gonzalez looking a lot stronger now at the front, back in the front, and closing, breaking away. The drivers behind, though, they're looking just that little bit stronger here. And, well, Caballero's going to send it down the inside. He's not going to wait around for Hugo Besson. He's just seen, of course, that he's got a under investigation, so he's thinking something's probably going to be happening. He's distracted. Let's go for the move, and let's try and push forward.
Yeah, that's a good move by Caballero. And this is what we're talking about with the timing, is Ogrodovchik there in the 218 goes down the inside of Hugo Besson. I think my reading of it is that Gonzalez could sense that charge of Caballero and others, and that's why he made the move when he did. He's trying to break away. There's a driver off to driver's left. There they are. It's one of the Auto Club carts. It's 265. Alejandro Suarez for Auto Club SC2 Valles. Hopefully Alejandro is okay, because that's a fast part of the circuit to have any kind of issue. End of lap number 7. Gonzalez leads this race. Utron still there in second. The gap is 3.5 tenths. Patrick Ogrodovchik, this is a really good step up from Patrick Ogrodovchik, who was ever present in European IAME X30 races last year. Learnt a lot, developed a lot, and this is what a season staying at the level can do for a driver. He's performing better than we saw in 2024, has worked his way up to 3rd place and had a good time qualifying yesterday. is on at the moment for a second top 5 qualifying heat result of the weekend so far.
And that is exactly what you need over this one. This is not what you need, though, unfortunately. That is Morgan Knudsen, unfortunately, the KB Racing experienced driver, out of this race. And again, that's just not what you want to see. And we've said in the senior category, there's a bit of dust getting kicked up there in the background. Is that Moya and Pineda battling away, I think, in the background? That's some exciting stuff. But yeah, one bad result in an event like this, a one-off event where it all matters to get into that top 72 or the top 36 course for the all-important final. One bad result can take you out of the contention of that.
Yeah, it'd just leave you with a bit too much work to do, especially when the depth of talent in this field is so strong. As Utron goes down the inside, I thought Utron was turning up the wick, and he has. He's gone down the inside of Gonzalez on the approach to turn number 8. You don't often see many moves there. Gonzalez is now going to throw back down the inside, return the move into the hairpin. Hasn't got it done though. Utron's going to fight himself in there, and Caballero is going to come through as well. 3 wide. Off of turn number 13. Ogredovcic's now come through, and Gonzalez is all the way off the road. Oh, and makes contact with the stationary cart. Eloy Gonzalez goes from hero to 0 in this one. He's going to get back on circuit, but there's damage on the rear left. That's going to be his race over.
Well, that's an axle bender, that is. He just clipped that rear wheel, and it just went round. That is a huge shame for Eloy Gonzalez, the pole sitter in this one. Oh, that is heartbreak for him. But eyes are still on this one, because Ogredovcic now leads the way. The driver who started this one P4, finished P5 in his first race yesterday. He's looking now for a class win here in these qualifying heats. But Caballero is there as well. Besson, Pineda, Utron, Moya, Mustienes, last year's winner of this event, there in P7. Nugre Green, Mackie in P10. That is Harrison Mackie, who's also stepped up from the junior into the senior category, as we are heading to the last lap board coming out very, very soon. But this is the moment where it all went wrong for Eloy Gonzalez earlier on. No such drama this time around. Everyone else looking pretty strong as we head to that final lap board.
Into the chicane.
Here we go.
Besson down the inside of Caballero. Nice move there. Alex Pinera, another one of the junior 2024 graduates, is involved as well. Caballero goes defensive into turn number 1. Clement Utron's still there as well. In 5th place, Ruben Moya stalking in 6th place. Zach Green's not out of this. He's probably not going to win his 2nd race in a row, but it's another solid top result as Green's gone down the inside of Ruben Moya. How about that? That's confidence from the youngster, putting a move on the experienced Ruben Moya, and they're still going at it through turns 8, 9 and 10. But for Patrick Ogredovcic, this is looking pretty good. Through the final couple of corners in a few moments' time, Harrison Mackey's getting involved. Zach Greenwell. This is what can happen sometimes when juniors step up. They love to get involved. They love to get the elbows back, but the wise heads of the seniors can often come out on top and go, no, kid, you've got to learn how to race in seniors, and they end up falling back a bit. But for Patrick Ogredovcic, that is a win. That is a brilliant win for Patrick Ogredovcic, his first of the weekend so far. And Anthony, I think we've got a new contender. I didn't necessarily have Patrick Ogredovcic on my list of favourites at the start of the weekend, but with that performance, I think we've got to put him into the equation.
Oh, exactly that. He sits right up there in the top classifications in the points. Of course, we're still early doors in that. There are so many more races to go, but bang on the money there. Patrick Ogredovcic, certainly one to watch over the course of this weekend. Hugo Besson and Christian Caballero finishing in a strong position as well in that top 3. They can be very happy with their results. Hugo Besson being one of them, 5 places gained in that one. Alex Pinera as well, just finishing outside that top 3. 8 places gained, a very, very strong performance. But I've got to say, drivers you've got to feel for in this one, and probably most of all, Eloy Gonzalez, just in that dying stage. Not sure what happened. It looked like they just tripped over each other into the back section. And yeah, he just got spat out on the edge of the circuit.
Yeah, I think it was simply a case of 3 or 4 karts all trying to use the same real estate, and that doesn't quite work, especially through a tightening corner like 14. But still opportunities for Eloy Gonzalez to come back. The pace is good. Bit of work for the team to do, though, to get the kart ready for round 3. There's your provisional results. Ogredovcic from Besson, Caballero, Pinera, Utron, all in the top 5. Last year's winner here, Adrian Mustines, who had a slow start to his 2024 IAME Winter Cup, but he's getting the points on the board. Adrian Mustinez is not out of things at all. He's ahead of the 23 winner, Ruben Moya. Clovis Nougeret, the French champion, in the top 10, ahead of Harrison Mackie and Zach Green. Decent points for Zach Green, and again, went for that move to try and get 7th place. In the end, gets shuffled back to P10. Noel Sundberg, decent run for the Swede. Wins the sibling rivalry as well, up 7 to 11th. Marlon Bayer, Roman Saleh, Elias Lehmann and Kian Gauchi all in the top 15. Lucas Frederick, Marc Granada, Thomas Gomez and Benjamin Borge all in the top 20, completed by Nico Garcia. Let's have a look at some of the highlights.
Indeed, and it was packed with highlights at the start of the race, though. There, straight away, you can see one of the Fusions getting kicked out. I think that was Harrison Mackie, yeah, which is why he dropped down in the field. Just again looking to that inside line and just not realising that these karts can be a little bit wider at the beginning of this one. That is Roseanne Den Driver, who unfortunately I think broke down at the start of this race, so did rejoin, but running in 28th place. Retirement to the early stages of that race as well. We were saying at Raul Luis Martinez, I think Marie Barryberg also caught out in that one, and Morgan Knudsen as well later on in the race. But eyes focusing on this one, we saw those moves coming in thick and fast, and mainly from Christian Caballero, who was pushing his way through nicely.
Yeah, and racing with the Kids to Win team. They know how to get the job done here at Valencia. They won last year in the hands of Adrian Mustinez. This is a great move from Hugo Besson around the outside for VDK Racing. This is the point where we think there is that investigation ongoing on the 284. We'll update you with any news on that one. This was when it was all good for Eloy Gonzalez. Start of lap number 6 down the inside of Clement Outron for the lead. And keep your eyes on that black and yellow number 218. Patrick Ogodovchik was just waiting, just being patient at this stage of the equation. Then he started to make his moves. That was down the inside of Besson for P4. That was the retirement of Alejandro Suarez, whose kart would be involved in more things later on in the race. Tough times for some drivers through the chicane. Outron, though, responds back down the inside, got past Eloy Gonzalez, but it was this moment here where it all went wrong for Gonzalez.
It certainly did, yeah. Besson back down the inside, Caballero going through. He was then squeezed on the outside, so they're four wide at that point there. And like we were saying, just round the corner, he gets on the dirty part. Yeah, and it was a mishap on the inside, someone going through it, and that's just gets clipped by that kart that's stationary on the outside, right to the edge of the circuit. Here's the other angle of it, and yeah, there, bang, that's going to be a bent axle if I've ever seen it.
Yeah, I think the main problem was Outron getting up in the air a little bit, running out wide, and for Eloy Gonzalez, he simply had nowhere to go, and then really bad luck to have the stationary kart at exactly the point where he needed a bit of grip. That would be the end of his race. Patrick Ogodovchik managed to pick his way through all of that, though. Get to the front of the order. Hugo Besson down the inside through the chicane went for P2. A couple of the new drivers on the senior scene getting involved on the last lap. Harrison Mackie, the junior X30 winner in IES last year, would get up to 9th place, and ahead of the driver who beat to that title. But Patrick Ogodovchik would take the race win. Solid results. He will be no worse than 6th in the intermediate classification at the end of this second round. That's where he is at the moment. And no worse, because we've still got another race to go in this second round for X30 Senior. Groups A and E will be out on track shortly.
Yeah, he certainly will, and that will be led by the man who put it on pole position overall in the senior category, the driver who didn't finish inside the top 10, I believe, in this event last year in the senior category. Now finds himself leading the intermediate classifications. There he is, the young Belgian Thibaut Ramekers, certainly stepping it up a gear. Here's what he had to say after qualifying yesterday. Well, the third group in senior qualifying here at the IAME Winter Cup 2025. Thibaut Ramekers, fastest in group and fastest overall. Incredibly quick time. How was that lap for you?
It was a perfect lap. I'm really happy to be back on pole at Valencia. The grip was perfect, and also the engine, so I'm really happy.
This is a good start to the season, good start to the weekend, of course, because plenty is going to happen over this weekend. Are you feeling confident that that pace can be maintained for the whole weekend?
Yeah, I think so. We had a lot of speed during the practice, and I think we can keep up the speed like this, and I hope win everything, but it will be complicated.
You had a busy session in that one with lots of competitive drivers. Last year's IAME Euro Series champion Danny Carinini was out there. Was there any worry that pole might be a stretch?
No, I don't think so.
You were confident enough?
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, congratulations. Well done. We'll see you out there on pole.
Thank you.
Very good to hear from Thibaut Ramekers there, who's made it back-to-back time qualifying pole positions at this event. Engines fire up, and the 2 formation laps begin for Groups A and E. For all of these drivers, this is their second race. This is the last race of round number 2 before we welcome out the other categories onto circuit. Let's take you through the grid for this one. Thibaut Ramekers starts on pole position. He's got the reigning IAME Euro Series X30 senior champion Danny Carinini alongside him on the front row. Senna Mounier's had a good start to this IAME Winter Cup. He's on row 2 alongside Morgan Moore, Nikita Nikishov and Merrill Peldes on row number 3. Thibaut Kempf and Louis Tortmar start on row 4. Riccardo Ferrari, race winner in IAME Euro Series at Franciacorta last year, starts on row 5 alongside Maximiano da Silva. Faris Jalil and Hugo Marti go from row number 6. They're ahead of Oscar Gudshow and Sem van der Heijden on row number 7. Freddie Lloyd, tough day yesterday, 31st position, had a retirement, needs to bounce back, starts on row 8, is joined by Daniel Mota. On row 9, it's Martin Almeida and Enrique Gelabert.
Robbie Buckley and Sebastian Vergeer go from row number 10. They'll have Nicholas Simek and Tristan Zogzauer on row number 11. Luca Liestra and Vilma Svan on row 12. They'll have Silianos Kolovos and Gaims Mellenbach on row 13. Luca Mann and Yanis Martin on row 14. They'll have Sam Hogan and Lorenz Marcos on row 15. Dylan Patel and Peter Gorecki go from row 16. They'll have Victor Azeter on row number 17. They round out the 33 kart grid.
But not, according to the information that we've got in the box, not all 33 karts out on circuit. I hope this is one of those little transponder moments and a blip, but at the moment the 248 of Freddie Lloyd is not being shown on our screens as out on circuit. That would be a real shame for a driver who showed a lot of promise and a lot of talent, particularly at the IAME Warriors final last year at Zoeira. Was one of the big contenders for a race win there, but at the moment he is not showing as circulating out on track. We're going to get some good views from the 220 of Nikita Nikishov. Nikita Nikishov will be starting 5th on the grid, and that's exactly the same position where he finished his first race yesterday.
It certainly was, yeah. He'll be looking to see if he can better that one or maintain it. Let's see what happens in this as the drivers make their way into the final sector, now heading through the flat-out turns of 15 and 16 into the braking zone of the final chicane. 17, 18 and 19. They will avoid the chicane this time around as we are forming up. They will go the shorter distance round into the tram lines as we get ready to go racing once again. Lights are out, we are away and racing down in towards turn number 1 again. Good start for the front row. Ramekers holding on to that inside line, but off at
Buckley.
Turn number 1, and that is a huge one there for Robbie Buckley. The 228 hard into the wall at turn 1.
Yeah, that looks quite nasty. I hope Robbie's okay, as yeah, he just got spat out of the pack to drivers left and had a heavy impact with the tyre wall before the barrier that marks off the pit exits. Thibaut Ramekers, though, is your race leader in the early stages. At the moment, he is the only driver remaining with a 0-point score. Danny Carinini is next on 2. Geraghty, Bird, Mounier, Ogudovchik in the top 6 in the intermediate classification. But that is all going to change in this race, you feel. Through towards the final chicane. Thibaut Ramekers has a good lead, tremendous debut senior season in 2024, looking to build on it here. He has that lead over Senna Mounier. It's a VDK Racing 1-2 for the first time here today. As there's a move from one of the Zankis there. I think that was Riccardo Ferrari going down the inside.
Yeah, good to see Riccardo Ferrari here, and there's more turmoil here at the exit of the final chicane. 3 drivers in peril. One's continued going with heavy damage to his left side pod. 2 have remained stationary here, and I believe that is going to be in the form of, I think, Lorenz Marcos, Yannis Martin. We've seen Robbie Buckley, of course, have problems as well. There you can see the 268
in this one. So let's have a look at a replay. This is out of the final chicane.
Spin there.
So with Taliesin going, that's not what we wanted at the end of this second round. I'll tell you what else Timo Ramakas doesn't want right now. It's Danny Caronini all over his rear axle. Caronini goes down the inside. Beautiful move by the Italian. Brilliant stuff into turn 1. Zanchi Motorsport will have a smile on their face now. They had a bit of a quiet day yesterday, but Danny Caronini is back in his usual position in X30 senior races. P1.
Yeah, that was a committed move there by Danny Caronini, showcasing the pace that he's got through turn 1. Of course, all these drivers pushing as hard as they can. Of course, Danny Caronini on the Tony kart, Ramakas on the Kart Republic. 2 different chassis there. Working in different ways through turn number 1, showcasing that, yeah, the Tony kart maybe just that fraction faster through T1 as we go through this weekend. Lap 4, and we look back here at Nikita Nikshov. Well, judging by this, I think it's a chain. Hit that curb, instantly loses power, and you've got to avoid it. We saw that in this very event last year. Drivers hitting that curb in a final and getting spat out at this very corner.
And Marcus Luzio was one of those 10 drivers who could have won this race last year and lost his chance by making that exact mistake. Tabletop Mountain has struck again. That was the move down the inside from Caronini, backing it in. Beautifully done. There's his teammate, the 207 of Riccardo Ferrari, who's with Zanchi Motorsport again this year, but now back to the normal colours of the blue and yellow for Zanchi Motorsports. Viewers last year will remember him running in the M2 livery.
Yes, indeed. The pink, purple, black livery, wasn't it? Yes, do remember that. I like that livery, but I'm a big fan of the Zanchi one too. Right, drivers pushing their way through here. Senamine looking strong as well. Now, like we were saying, that this was a common trend setter, what we saw yesterday with these 2 VDKs as well, pushing their way forward. But again, right now, today they seem to be on a lesser strategy here. The Tony kart's looking stronger, and there you see it. Riccardo Ferrari again showcasing the pace through turn number 1, just a little bit quicker.
Yeah, the back end of the 256 was just looking a bit skittish there through the final chicane, and particularly through this part of the circuit. The sector 2 here at Valencia is so important. It's corner after corner after corner. If you've not quite got your setup right, if you've not got the tyres in that operating window, you can lose heaps and heaps of time. But for Senamine, it's a good chance here to just settle down, get into a rhythm, try and close in with Riccardo Ferrari on the top 2. We're on lap 6. We're into the second half of this one. A little bit further down the order just to report on some things going on there. Luca Leistra is up 10 places to P13, but is under investigation for something that's happened out there. Sean Hogan needing a big result here. The Irish driver for Brennan Tech is up 12 places. That's, I think he's up to P17. Had a DQ yesterday and not a great qualifying, but we know the pace that Sean Hogan has. He had a really good run a few months ago to end the 2024 season at IWF, and it's good to see him coming back through the field.
Certainly is. Eyes on this one here. Battle for third not over yet here, Andrew. Senamine right on that rear bumper of Riccardo Ferrari. Not going for the move, though. Is he working with him to try and close in on Ramakas? One would suggest that is possibly the case, but we will have to wait and see. We are well over the halfway point. We're lap 7 of 11 right now, and all the meanwhile the eyes are looking at this one, and yeah, you can see just pushing him along, not sending it to the inside, and crucially Riccardo Ferrari not defending.
No, not defending. I think as much as this is trying to close in on Ramakas and Caronini, it's also staying away from Morgan Moore. Morgan Moore in a bit of a tricky spot right now because he's on his own. He's there in the blue and white premium karting 214. The Irish driver needs these two to fight. He needs them to fight, lose them time for each other, and then he can just cruise up to the back and make a duo, a trio. But, well, right now, Ferrari and Mounier have no interest in doing that. They want to keep at least this battle to two drivers over third and fourth, because there's still a bit of racing to go in this one.
Yep, certainly is. 33 runners, whittled down to 26 so far in this race. Probably the most times we've seen so far this weekend, and at an early stage of the weekend. Certainly not what you want to see. But we'll keep a close eye on this one. Carinini Ramakas, they're not fighting at the moment. Big check over the shoulder there for Danny Carinini. They are chopping and changing with their purple sectors here. Ramakas just went purple in sector 2 on that last lap. So again, he's got the pace here. But in towards sector 1, so turn 1, the chicane, all of that, it's Danny Carinini, who's 0.2 of a second faster than Ramakas.
Yeah, Carinini putting on a bit of a clinic here. And I tell you something that I'm just seeing on the points that is going to be interesting. Last year, at this stage, it was the trading battle between Marcus Luzio and Finn McLaughlin, who's just racing down the road, by the way, in Formula Cars now at Ricardo Tormo. And it was kind of a case of like, which one was going to lose their 0-point score first? And it went on and on and on and on. We will have, at the moment, no 0-point scorer left at the end of round 2.
No, that's very true.
I think it's going to be, the early signs we're going to have a very, very close, tight battle in X30 Senior this weekend. And as neutrals in the box, that's exactly what we want.
Exactly what we want. Looking behind, Meripeltis has closed in now on Morgan Moore, so Moore not on his own anymore. They are working together in the background, but we maintain our eyes on this one. Ferrari and Minnaert trying to push their way through. Oh, God's sake, Ricardo hitting that curve at turn 3. It's so risky because that is engine side. It's so easy to just ping the train up. We've already obviously seen it from Nikita Nikishov, but you've got to be so careful over that curb. It is very tempting to hit it.
Yeah, because you can still carry a lot of speed over it, and you know, just reduce the angle of attack as you approach into turns 4 and 5. But yeah, it's a big risk for the mechanical side of things. We're on lap number 10. This one's got into a nice rhythm for Danny Carinini and Thibaut Ramakas as the first duo. And for Ferrari and Meunier, now I think we're going to see an attack from Senna Meunier. They've got the gap over Merrill Peldes. Meunier's going to go for it for third place. To the inside, defends Ferrari through turn 1. That's nicely done by the Italian. Meunier's going to have to think of something else if he wants to get back the position that he lost a few laps ago. Ferrari's gained 6 places in this race so far. Just seems to have the measure of the Belgian at this moment.
He certainly does, keeping him at close bay here, but on to that final lap, and well, like you say, we could see the moves here though. We've seen them thick and fast, and we're going to see them because Ferrari going defensive now into turn number 11, 12 and 13. This is where it all kicked off, and just a little look down the inside for Senna Meunier, but not close enough for that attacking move. However, at the front, the other Zanchi Motorsport driver, Danny Carinini, he's going to be heading to the line. Last-ditch attempt to cross the line. Well, Carinini checks over the shoulder and be like, where did everyone go?
Oh, Ramakas got a problem.
Where did Ramakas go? He's broken down across the line. Ramakas dropped down to P6 in that one. Disastrous for the pole sitter in qualifying. Oh, he's in such a fast part of the circuit, but luckily he's off the racing line. And, well, he just said it just died. It just conked out. And that was that. He hit a curb maybe in the final chicane. Did his chain come off? We're not too sure. We'll have to find that information out a little bit later on. But that's disastrous for the young man who started this weekend on pole.
In a strange way, that's the luckiest bit of bad luck I've ever seen.
Well,
it's like,
yeah,
if you're gonna have a kart failure, do it on the last corner. Yes, he's lost 4 places, but imagine if that had gone half a lap earlier, he would have lost a lot more. And well, Thibaut Ramakas is looking quite bewildered as to what's happened there. A quite bizarre end to the race.
Yeah, indeed. Well, Danny Carinini takes the win then ahead of his fellow teammate Riccardo Ferrari, giving it an Italian 1-2 ahead of Senna Meunier from Belgium. Meripeltis from Estonia finishing in P4 from Morgan Moore of Ireland. And then it's Thibaut Ramakas from Oscar. Good luck, coach, finishes there in P7. Maximano da Silva finishing in P8. Hugo Matti from Thibaut Kempf. Lewis Todt from Sem van der Heijden, rounding out the top 12. Biggest mover in that top 15. Luca Lastra, who is under investigation, of course, but 10 places gained nonetheless, finishing ahead of Sebastian Verga and Faris Jalil, rounding out that top 15. There, though, Nikita Nikishov, that chain off. just one of those small mistakes.
There's sometimes talk in the paddock of the curse of the camera, which I think those who believe in the curse of the camera will weigh that one in. But unfortunately, from our position here in the box,
He hit the curb.
It hit the curb. It's a common error, and it's a hurtful error when it happens. But no problems for Danny Carinini. That is a very good result. It will also put him in the best position in the intermediate classification. This was the start. That is a huge hit for Robbie Buckley, but credit to the safety features of the circuit. They did their job. This was the pandemonium in the final chicane at the end of lap 1. Karts each and every direction. At the end of it all, Llorens Marcos and Yanis Martin would be out of the race. Meanwhile, Riccardo Ferrari coming through the field. That was a tight moment into the first corner with a couple of the other drivers there. This was the moment. Bang! There it is, over the curb. Chain gone, race over for Nikita Nikishov. Costly error, was in P5 at the time. In the end, he will get points for 27th position.
Yeah, that is a big, well, downside to that, and unfortunately, yeah, that's a game over move, that one, and he certainly steps down the order. Someone else who steps down the order is the man who's just got overtaken there, Thibaut Ramicas. That breakdown bumps him to P5 in the intermediate classifications as the two Zankies went to work there, really showcasing the pace that those Tony karts have got through turn number 1. This was on that final lap. There was the move, and there you can see that Ramicas has broken down. He is pushing it along, and there across the line. Oh, that is heartbreaking to see those karts go past, because you're just slowly trundling along, trying to get anything you can. And there's the look. There was the second look for Danny Carinini. He'd be like, where did he go? And he was right behind me. And yeah, was that quick? Says Danny Carinini, I think, at that point. But brilliant race for Zanki Motorsport. They'll be delighted with that one.
They will be. So, intermediate classification at the end of round 2. Again, this is based off provisional results. Carinini on 2, Garrity on 2, Bird on 3, Ogrodovchik on 5, Ramicas 6, Munier 7, Zach Green on 8, and Stiller on 8. More from the seniors later, but the first time in a racing capacity this weekend, Anthony, it's time to welcome X30 Junior.
Certainly is. They will be heading out onto the track next. Brilliant, brilliant day in terms of qualifying for one young man. That man there, Dan Allemann of Switzerland. A fantastic run in qualifying. I think quite happy with it. Here's what he had to say. Well, the first group for qualifying for the Junior X30 category in this year's IAME Winter Cup. Dan Allemann, fastest in group. Congratulations. Brilliant time for you out there. Is that a nice confidence boost to start this weekend?
Yeah, it was a good qualifying. I had a good pace, and I had all the time slipstream, and it was perfect.
Yeah. Last year's IAME Series, you finished it P10 overall. This pole position right at the start in the Winter Cup, do you feel like that's a nice way to start the whole season? Do you feel like that's a nice confidence boost?
Yeah, I think so, because then we are more competitive for the next races, and it's overall better.
It's a long way to go in this one here, though, at the Valencia circuit. You're looking forward to the races that'll be coming up, and do you feel like you've done enough to keep that pole? Because there's one more session to go, of course.
I hope so.
Well, fingers crossed. Let's see how it goes. Congratulations. Well done.
Thank you.
Confirmation on that. He did keep that pole, of course, beating Nilis Malik, who finished second fastest overall. He joins him on that front row, because this is Groups A versus B. This is the fastest drivers from that time qualifying putting their way forward. But like I said, we've not seen them race just yet, so this is going to be an interesting one, a real insight of what we are going to be expecting from the juniors. Well, engines fire up, drivers make their way out to the circuit. Let's fire you through that full starting lineup. Dan Allemann and Nilis Malik on row number 1, Archie Owen and Freddie Wood on row 2. Tudor Jurken on row 3 will be joined by Daniel Oliver on that row, Bautista Direk and Evan Purcell on row 4. Elvis Karkauskas and Oiva Vetemrata on row 5. They'll have Matteo Mellis and Gilles Herman on row number 6. Aaron Correa and Ramiro Mello on row 7, with Maxime Prudhomme and Yugurana on row number 8.
Ninth row of the grid, Luxembourg's Alexandre Point and Ania Pizzuto on row 10, one of the graduates from the mini category into juniors for 2025. Sweden's Ludwig Gronqvist alongside David Mindituna to complete the top 20. Benji Westwood and Zoltan Koini go from row number 11. Jack McLaughlin and Raul Gonzalez go from row number 12. Andrea Galimberti and Bink van Schijndel start on row number 13. Silas Ellefson and Patrick Christensen are on an all-Norwegian row 14. Moritz Moore and Leonie Martinez go from row 15. Jan Rodriguez and Rafael Zanas go from row 16. It's a full complement of 34 on the grid for this one, completed by row 17, Stigler Elemaker and Mattis Musch.
Well, looking forward to this one, but one driver who isn't looking forward to it, I think that is Jan Rodriguez, who is stationary. The VDK driver of the number 56 is the only driver not clocking up on our timing screens. I think he's been caught out with some dramas there. Well, the rest of the field are still out and circulating. We are heading into the yellow flag sectors now, so drivers needing to really slow the pace down, get themselves lined up in 2x2 formation, and just trying to see if Jan Rodriguez has made his way out. He has. Now, that's an interesting release here because he's got the drivers coming around to start they're starting the race effectively, and he's got a long way to go before he's caught up, and he's gone off the track as well, out of our commentary, and that's just, he's rushing, but he's got cold tyres, so again, that's going to really shake things up a little bit. Hopefully he can get back in this race. Right, here we go then. First time this weekend for the Junior X30 category. It will be Dan Alaman and Nilas Malik on the front row. Switzerland versus Denmark here. Down in towards turn one. Lights go out. We are racing in towards turn number one. It is a good start from the front row, but crucially the inside row. Alaman, Owen, Jurkin all getting through. Everyone getting through. There's a little bit of jostling in the background there, but it's all clean and dry, but not for all of them. Some carts getting off into the dirty stuff.
Yeah, to exit of turn two when it gets a bit tight. It all came from the middle of the field. It went 2-3 wide. I think it was Constantino effect resulting in a few carts taking to the gravel. I think Oiva Vettenratter and Matteo Mellis have not come through sector number one. So they both started high up the order. They were both in the top 12. Vettenratter on row 5, Mellis on row 6, so it would appear that those two have come together.
I think so, but I think they've just missed a timing loop or a beam at some point, so yeah, I think they're still in it, but I think a little further down. Eyes on this, though. Battle for P3 kicking off right now, and it's all going well. Freddie Wood, Tito Jurkin, Daniel Oliver, all in this battle as they push their way through here. Elvis Karakauskis in the fight here as well. Nilas Malik dropping down to P5. Still there in P6 as well. Freddie Wood also in that fight in P7. But you can see here it is the form of Tito Jurkin and Elvis Karakauskis battling away, but it's the mole racing driver of Elvis Karakauskis in third place and trying to close in on the likes of Archie Owen, who is breaking away in that BMR kart.
It is indeed. Problems for David Minchunu, unfortunately, for the Monlau Motorsport team. Has not clocked through at the end of lap number one, has fallen down to 34th place.
Yeah, he has indeed. So that is a big shake-up throughout the field as well. We'll keep a close eye on this one. 8 laps, these races, slightly less race distance for the drivers, and they do lap around at 1.6 or so seconds slower than a senior around here. So they've got a little bit more work to do in terms of keeping that pace at a premium. But these drivers certainly doing a very strong job here. We're still watching that battle for third place on your screens. It's Alaman who leads the way from Archie Owen. This is Karakauskis, Malik and Dilik, who are running away in third, fourth and fifth at the moment. And Nilas Malik, second fastest in time qualifying, now setting the fastest lap of the race.
Yeah, I think if you're Nilas Malik, you might try and use the argument that the track conditions went out of their premium phase between groups 1 and group 2 in qualifying yesterday. So he was fastest in group 2, and I think we'll say, well, I never had the opportunity to fully beat Dan Alaman's time because the temperatures went up. It just got a little bit too hot for everybody out there. He's showing good pace in this one. He's got to find a way past Krasauskas, though, pretty quickly to unleash that pace. He's going to, let's see, he didn't fully commit there to the move into the chicane, and is now going to be into the clutches of Bautista Delic, who's quite animated there. pointing to Malik to say, keep eyes forward. We've got to get through. We've got to keep pushing on, particularly. So there's a very quick group behind in the shape of Daniel Oliver and Gilles Herman. He's had a bit of a quiet week so far, Gilles Herman, but we know from his racing in 2024, very, very confident, very competent driver. The Belgian in a VDK, that's a pretty familiar setup.
It certainly
is definitely in that battle in the top 10.
He is indeed. He's going to have to dig deep, though. Evan Purcell just behind him in the Fusion Motorsport car, just setting the fastest lap of the race. I suspect we'll be pushing him along here to try and close up at the front. But, of course, with those top two not fighting at all, it's going to make it tough for the rest of the field to really close in on those front runners. They might be able to close in on the battle for P3, as, unfortunately, Maxime Prudhomme has just received a warning flag. That does get gifted with a 5-second time penalty. Here is that change down the inside. Nilas Malik moving up into third place.
Another classic move, textbook move into turn one, this time pulled off by Nilas Malik, running with Victory Lane Karting this season. A sponsorship from STX on the front of the kart as well. Matteo Mellis, fastest lap of the race, 57.104, and you were right, Anthony. That's yeah. I think Mellis was one of the karts that probably went round the outside and scattered on the exit of turn 2 on that first lap, because Mellis is still running good in P13.
Yeah, indeed. So pushing through quite nicely. Biggest mover in this race so far. Got to look back to the Belgian Stig de Rademaker in the number 11. Currently running in 20th place. He's got a gain of 13 places in this race. So again, a driver who we know to be a front-running driver. He has had a bad qualifying, and he's now making up for it in those qualifying heats. The good thing about it in the juniors is that it is only 2 groups. There is a lot less drivers, so you've got that little bit more breathing space if you have a bad race or so.
You have. Everyone's guaranteed a spot on the grid in the super heats, because we've got under 72 entrants across the class, but you've still got that top 36 cut off, as that's a nice move from Baptista de Ligt. So that's really the aim for Stig de Rademaker is yeah, you're going to be in the super heats. You've got 4 races, 4 opportunities to pull yourself all the way through from the very back of the qualifying classification into that top 36 of the final intermediate classification to give you that shot at the big cash prize and other prizes on Sunday.
Yeah, it certainly does. Well, eyes on this one. We are on lap 6. We're ending lap 6, going on to lap 7 in a few moments' time. There is Dan Alleman, who is continuing to break away here. He is looking very confident and comfortable out there. A gap now of 1.6 seconds between himself and Archie Owen. Now, Owen himself here is starting to get reeled in just that little bit from the drivers behind, as Jack McLaughlin becomes the latest driver to become under investigation. Now, that gap, like we were talking about, between Malik and Owen, that has come down now to about 0.4 of a second between those two. And with, well, a couple of laps left in this one, that is very, very doable. And visibly, you saw it there with a blink of an eye just behind, how close they are getting. But look at that, just confidence there. The kart looks absolutely planted for Dan Alleman.
Yeah, it looks like he's giving him the confidence, and we saw this from Dan Alleman last year. He had some bright moments. You know, he was a regular point scorer in the IAME Euro Series, but you know, I think when he's in the zone, he is one of the best at this level currently. Is Dan Alleman. It's good to see him running with such good speed.
Yeah, it certainly is. Back to this battle then as we go on to the final lap of this race. Archie Owen was saying he was getting caught up, but now it's all gone defensive here because Kudakowskis is having to battle away with Dilip and Freddie Wood just getting caught up there, clipping that rear bumper of Bautista de Ligt, who's just trying to concentrate on pushing forward in this race. Wood's now dropped back. While he's got his hand up, he's gesticulating there to Krakowskis, saying, why are you defending? You are pushing me into the drivers behind. And, well, Krakowskis will probably say, that's exactly what I'm trying to do. I don't want you trying to get past me. I would like P4. I would like some low points scored in this first opening race. And, yeah, you can see there just he's backing them up. However, this man here, Dan Alleman, he's got nothing to worry about. First race of the weekend for the juniors. He comes away with that first qualifying heat win ahead of Archie Owen and Nilas Malik, who finishes in P3. Elvis Krakowskis, he did hold on to P4. Bautista de Ligt did hold on to P5. Evan Purcell moved up into P6. Freddie Wood just pushed his way down that order a little bit. So good result still nonetheless for all of the drivers inside the top 10. Daniel Oliver there in 8th place. Gilles Herman up 3 places, finishing in P9. Romeo Mello gaining 4 places to round out that top 10. But I've got to say, for Dan Aleman, we were talking about it very briefly in that race. That kart looked absolutely planted. The Spirit Karting team, who have predominantly run in the mini category, of course, as their drivers have grown up and moved up into the classes, stepping up into the juniors, and certainly going very well. Now, Dan Aleman, he's so excited he won that race. It looks to me he's done another lap, and I can see our race director, Martin Bean, he's not too happy about that, actually, because now that delays a little bit as he goes for an extra sighting lap, and that also delays our man Andrew Mather, who is making his way down to Parc Fermé to hopefully chat to that young driver who is still on track. There's a look at your provisional results then. At the end of that one, we've gone over the top 10. Matteo Mellis finishing in 11th place. Maxime Prudhomme from Enebazuto. Jurkin finishing in P14 ahead of Oiva Vetenrata in P15. Sid Rademacher, 17 places gained. He finishes in P16 ahead of Ludwig Granqvist and Big Van Schleindel, who finishes in P18. Benjamin Westwood from Jack McLaughlin. McLaughlin is under investigation, but he does finish that one inside the top 20. Andrea Galamberti from Moritz Moore. Patrick Christensen finishing in the top 23. From Leonie Martinez in 24th place. Rafael Zanansk finishing inside that top 25. Let's have a look at those highlights from that race. As you can see here, good start from the inside row in this one. Aleman, Owen, Jurkin able to break away. Malik getting caught out just that little bit at the start here. And you can see how much he's dropped back there, 3 kart lengths back from where he was originally starting. That just gives the inside line to the rest of them. There was the first dramas for many. You could see, yeah, Oiva Vetenrata just getting caught out there with, I believe, Baptiste Delic, who did have to fight back in that race and did so and finishing very comfortably inside that P5. Race going on and moves coming in thick and fast. It was all about that battle for 3rd place. Krakowskis there battling as hard as he possibly could, but losing out to the form of Nilas Malik in that Victory Lane karting outfit, pushing his way forward, would slowly and eventually close in on Archie Owen. However, that pace just not coming to him by the end of the race. That caused a huge battle then from the drivers, 4th place downwards. Krakowskis trying to hold on to that one and successfully did so. Aleman across the line. He was so happy for it. He went for an extra victory lap as well. After that, he might get in a spot of bother actually with that one. I have seen it in past events with a driver going for an extra lap. It's not too well taken. Right, let's head down to Parc Fermé for the first time live this weekend. Andrew Mather, it's over to you. Well, we'll try and get back to Andrew in a few moments' time. Problems with the sound there, but at the moment you can see he's got one of the drivers there lined up. I believe that was Archie Owen he had there lined up because, of course, Dan Aleman went for that extra little lap. Plenty of racing coming up, though, as we wait for that interview down there. Junior X30 qualifying heat C versus D. That will be coming up next in a few moments' time. That will see Antoine Venot and Herman Rodriguez battling away on the front row of that grid, but certainly for the first race of the weekend for the juniors, a very strong start for Dan Aleman and Archie Owen. They put themselves on the board with those minimal points. Obviously, Aleman with the win, 0 points to his name. Archie Owen with the 2, dropping down 1 point as they go through, and they will try and maintain that momentum as the weekend goes on. We are going to take a short break. We'll be back in a few moments' time for qualifying heat C versus D. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the IAME Winter Cup 2025. We had a brief technical moment there, but hopefully we can head down to Parc Ferme. Andrew Mather, can you hear me?
I can indeed, and hopefully you can hear us. Apologies for the technical issues here with Archie Owen. Archie, P2 in that first race, a solid start to the weekend.
Yeah, we had a good start to the race, followed Alaman into turn 1 and pushed through.
And this series, this race is a preparation and a chance to get you into a new season. How good is it to be racing in Valencia and also in good weather?
Yeah, it's nice to be in good weather compared to the UK, which we're used to.
And the weekend as a whole, Dan Alaman's looking pretty good. He had a good win in that one. What do you think you and the BMR team are going to be working on to try and peg him back?
Well, I think he had a very good first lap and continued that pace through the rest of the race. So if we would have had a better first lap, we might have had a tow the whole race.
What would you be happy with as a result this weekend? Podium?
Yeah, podium's nice.
Good stuff. Well, Archie, thanks for your time. We'll get you back to the team and we'll catch you later. Anthony, back up to you in the box.
Thank you very much, Andrew. Yes, indeed. Lovely weather that we've got here now. That misty fog bank that we saw earlier on has thankfully dissipated and disappeared. So it's a beautiful sunny day that we have here in the coastal region of Valencia. Next race coming up, qualifying heat C versus D for Junior X30. And again, this should be a nice, interesting one because we've got some names quite high up in this order. We've got some new names as well stepping up. But crucially, Antoine Venard, who's starting this one on pole position. You can see him there right in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen, just getting himself lined up, ready to go on that VDK kart. Joining him alongside is Hernan Rodriguez, who is certainly looking forward to seeing what he can do in this one. But like I say, they've got some names behind. You've got the likes of Jesse Phillips in that number 21 just behind as well. You've got the likes of Bruno Grieling as well from Germany. But then also on the third row as well, Finley Lyons and Sukmani Kira. Sukmani Kira, of course, stepping up into the junior category as a handful of many other drivers as well in this one. And really curious to see how she gets on. And it was a great qualifying as well, putting herself at P6th. For this race, so very strong performance nonetheless. We did see very briefly there the boards going up. We are moments away from starting this race. It is due to start at 10 past 11, and we are 10 seconds away from that time. So we are bang on schedule, which is good to see. As always, the 2025 season sounds like it's going to be an absolutely fabulous one for the IAME class, of course. This being the Winter Cup, the one-off round. Only one winner in each class on the end of this one. For, of course, we start the season in Cremona for round 1 for the IAME Euro Series. Engines fire up and drivers make their way out onto the circuit. Let's quickly fire you through that full starting lineup. Antoine Venard and Hernan Rodriguez going from row number 1. Jesse Phillips and Bruno Grieling on row 2. Finley Lyons and Sukmani Kira on row 3. They'll have Denny Babacek, also another driver stepping up into the junior category from Mini from last year, starting this one on the 4th row of the grid. He'll have Riley Cranham for company alongside Rock Pineda and Max Endicott go from row 5. They'll have Alfonso Lopez and Aaron Meta on row 6. Elias Ebers-Doppler and Amelia Berndt go from row 7. They'll have Max Yule and Didier Krieft on row number 8. Bautista Panetta and Matteo Peruzio go from row 9. Alexa Diaz and Archie Lovett round out the top 20 on row number 10.
Row number 11 is your next one up in this race between Group C and D. Vanessa Shilcanetta and Maurice Vercruis start on that one. Cooper Snedden and Yanis Kolovos, younger brother of Stylianos Kolovos, is here this weekend as well. They're on row number 12. Ivan Gonzalez and Leona Roca go from row 13. Max Lecoy and Edouard Godefroy go from row 14. Rares Pascu and Peter Sarkeesian go from row 15. Alejandro Campos, Pinmu Zhu, Thomas Fernandez and Nicola Freak completes the 34-strong field.
Sorry about that, Andrew. I got you caught short there as you rushed back into the commentary box from Parc Ferme. How was it?
Oh, it was good. Yeah, say the weather conditions are positive, improving. No sign of that fog. That's gone. That was just a false alarm. And it's not as hot as it was yesterday. These are actually quite good conditions for the drivers. Good conditions for the engines as well. The air is cool. I say we had a sweet spot during time qualifying yesterday, but then it went a little bit too far, didn't it? It got too hot. The tyre performance started to drop off as it went down. At the moment, air temperature reading is 11 degrees. I think it's actually a little bit higher than that, as we have a look on board from the rear axle of Antoine Venant. Very strong season for the Belgian last year in X30 Mini. He starts this one on pole position. Jesse Phillips there in the 21. Big year for Jesse Phillips. Had his step up from Mini to Junior in 2024. He's now one of the experienced hands at this level and is looking to perform. Into the tram lines we go then. Do the lights turn green? They do. We are away and racing for 8 laps in X30 Junior, and that's a great start for Jesse Phillips, who's managed to get down the inside. One driver spearing off. It's one of the VDKs. That might have been the 66 of Edouard Godefroy. Yes, it was, who started on row 14. But what a start from Phillips. This is what we're talking about with the experience. For those going from Mini to Junior, they've got a lot to get used to. Bigger karts, bigger engines. For Jesse Phillips, he went through that transition last year, and he's used that confidence and that experience to dive down the inside and has this early lead. Yeah, indeed. Nicely done for Phillips in the early stages on board with Antoine Venant. Looking back now at the likes of the rest as well. The Argenti pushing up nicely here. Finlay Lines running very strong in this one in the number 81. Pushing up the order, and you just see how close they get under braking there. And yes, you talk about that jump from Mini to Junior. Yes, it's a bigger engine, it's a bigger kart, everything like that. It's a different racing style as well. You don't have that slipstream as all. Phillips has had a moment there. He's dropped back behind Antoine Venant, and Venant back in the lead here. Yeah, great power for Antoine Venant, as there's another driver off in the background there. Might have been Rock Pinheiro running wide through turn 3. Phillips responds back down inside. Straight back through. This is what we love about the juniors. They see a chance to go for a move and they take it. It's always back and forth. We say when they move to seniors, that tactic doesn't always work. But here in the juniors, this is what it's about. Denny Babacek's on the move. Another one of those drivers who has moved up from X30 Mini to X30 Junior for 2025. And the driver for TEP's racing team from Czechia won a lot of races last year. Can he win another one here? Looking down the inside of Phillips. That's all going to get very close and tight through the chicane. Phillips has to take to the runoff there. Holds the lead. This is a real testing start for these drivers in Group C and D. Phillips holds on. Do you know what this looks like to me? It looks like a mini race. It does look like a mini race. They're still holding on to that strategy of sending it at any given opportunity. There's drama on the start-finish straight. One driver out as we watch the live on board here. Looking backwards, I can see that it is it is Ivan Gonzalez in the number 55 who's been broken away. One of the local Spanish drivers, unfortunately, going no further. And wow, look at the closing distance there from Jesse Phillips, trying to push his way back up the order here. But he sits there in second place. And like you say, all of these drivers just pushing that little bit harder in this one. I can imagine the mechanics on the sidelines will be saying, calm down a little bit. Focus, push, not all this overtaking jargon that we're seeing right now. It's early stages for them in this race. Another driver coming into play here, the second of those fusions, Riley Cranham, who I would say is your early favourite at the start of the weekend. Mainly based off the level of experience that he already has and the performance that we saw from him in 2024. He's got the strongest record of this X30 Junior class of 2025. Archie Lovett, number 64, under investigation as there's been a change for the lead. Off as well is the number 34. Oh, that's Hernan Rodriguez, the driver who started it on the front row of the grid, is going to be starting his race weekend with a DNF. That is disastrous for the Spaniard. His kart gets unceremoniously dragged off the track. That is no bueno for him. Right, the race here, though, is still heating up, as I think Lopez has had a moment out there as well. Alfonso Lopez is tumbling down the order.
Phillips, Babicek, they're breaking away now from Antoine Vinal, but again, are we going to see the overtakes? We are indeed. Denny Babicek not hanging around, straight down the inside at turn number 1. Sporting the original Tony Kart livery, the brand new Tony Kart livery out there. Brilliant to see, but pushing it very, very strongly here. And, well, your favourite there, Cranham, the experience, fastest lap of the race, now P4, right there. Now, make that P3 just.
Yeah, shuts the door on his rival there to get through into third place. Just fancy a look at the very front of Babicek's number 72. Whether it's just a trick of the light and the sticker kit, or whether there's a bit of damage, or it's a big dent on the front.
I was thinking the same.
Of Babicek's karts. That will, of course, everybody's front fairings are checked when they come into Parc Ferme at the end of the race. Side-by-side image on the left-hand side of your screen, the view back from Venant. Findlay Lines looking for the move down the inside. This is for 4th place. And that's nicely done by Findlay Lines. We didn't see a lot of Findlay Lines on the European and international racing scene in 2024. He was at IWF for his first race at this level, performed admirably. Very strong national season for Findlay Lines in 2024, though, so do keep an eye on a newcomer for the IAME Winter Cup and its history. Switch between the fusions there. Pretty compliant move between Riley Cranham and Jesse Phillips. They can nicely work together now to try and find a way past Denny Babicek and give Fusion a 1-2.
Well, exactly that. And, of course, we have seen it time in, time out. When it was back in the mini category, Fusions working together to push their way forward. Are we going to see it again here? Both of them going to the inside there, very late on the brakes, just making the corner. And there, Denny Babicek dropping from 1st to 3rd. Over the line, but that brings Lines into play. Lines goes to the outside at turn 1. That's not going to work too well there, just didn't have the waft, and he slots back into his original spot, but that's a valiant effort through turn number 1. Here comes Babicek back down the inside. He's going to say thank you to Phillips. He moves back through, and Cranham takes the lead of this one again.
Yeah, and if Cranham can hit the hammer now, he's going to be able to break away from this squabbling quartet. You've got to give it to Findlay Lines. That was a great attempt, but the simple fact of the matter is, as Phillips looks down the inside of Babicek into turn 11, there's a lot of grip on that inside line into turn 1. We've seen a lot of on the inside overtakes through turn 1 today. There's a lot of detritus and strewn tyre debris on the left-hand side. It's so difficult to find the grip to go around the outside there. Babicek defending really hard here. We're about to see the final lap board. I think we know on balance who our race winner is going to be in Parc Ferme here, but who's going to be in second place? That's still very much an open question.
It certainly is. Again, great view looking backwards here on Antoine Vinal, and down the inside. Oh, Bruno Grieling from Germany, full send there into the tight corner of turns 3 and 4, sends it down the inside of Lines and moves up another position. But eyes on this one. Well, Cranham's broken away, timed that perfectly. The experience of the junior driver pushing his way through that order, gaining those 7 places, and now leading by 1.3 seconds from this battle here. But Babicek is defending this second place spot like his life depends on it. Here he checks over the shoulder again. Antoine Vinal is going to try and follow him through, though, into the braking zone, into the chicane. Here we go, then 3 wide into the braking zone. Phillips on the inside. He can't get through, though. He battles away. Cranham takes the win. Babicek's going to take second. But my goodness me, from Jesse Phillips, how lucky was he there to go 3 wide into that chicane and come out on top.
But he held on to it.
He did.
He held on to the position, and sometimes in 2024, things didn't go that way for Jesse Phillips. So for me, that's a positive result for everyone involved, but particularly for Riley Cranham, number 4 seed from the IAME Euro Series in this category last year, and obviously with a number of drivers like Mackie and Green moving up. That's why I'm saying he's my favourite at the moment for race victory this weekend, and he started his qualifying heats programme with a win. Babicek P2, Phillips P3, Antoine Venant and Bruno Grieling P5. I love that move from Bruno Grieling. A good story. Big thanks to our colleague Adam Weller just down the road. That father and son duo this weekend for the Grielings. Bruno's racing here, of course, and you've just seen him pull off that worldie down the inside into turn 3. And his father is racing a McLaren Artura Trophy GT4 car, if I'm not mistaken, down the road at Ricardo Tormo. So it's a great way of father and son going racing on the same weekend. There is your provisional results. Riley Cranham wins it by 2 seconds ahead of Zdeněk Denny Babicek. Jesse Phillips, Antoine Venant and Bruno Grieling all start their campaigns with top 5s. Findlay Lyons, a solid P6 there. Max Endicott will be pleased with P7. Rob Pinheira, P8. Archie Lovett up 11 spots in that one for Excel Motorsport, finishes P9. Top 10 is completed by Emilio Burns. Sukmani Kira, P11, ahead of Laius Ebersdobler, Didier Krieft, Alexia Diaz and Vanessa Schilkeneter all in the top 15. Aaron Meta, Bautista Panetta, Yanis Kolovos, Cooper Snedden and Thomas Fernandez all in the top 20. Fernandez, your biggest mover in that race, up 13 spots. Leonor Roca, Matteo Peruccio, Nicola Frieg, Lax Lacroix and Pin Muju all in the top 25. Good race there from Nicola Frieg, up 11. Alejandro Campos, Alfonso Lopez, Edward Goffroyd, Maurice Vercruis and Max Ewell all in the top 30. One more finisher was Peter Sarkeesian. 3 retirements, Rodriguez, Gonzalez and Pascu. But there's your race winner, Riley Cranham, going through the motions, going through the procedures to confirm his race victory. Let's have a look at how he did it.
Indeed, again, looking back from the pole sitter on this one, Antoine Venant, and again, showcasing how close it is, but immediately you can see, just pulled out, opened that gap, gifted that lead to Jesse Phillips right at the start there, and it just showcases that you've got to be so close, tight, committed to turn 1. You don't want to be running wide at all.
No, I was a bit surprised to see to Venant open the door there, and for Jesse Phillips a decisive move down the inside. You can see it there. It's like, well, if you're going to give me the lane, I'm going to take the position. Jesse Phillips got his braking absolutely spot on as well. Oof. That was the moment for Edouard Godefroy, who did get back into the race and recovered to P28. This was the reverse. This was Venant down the inside to take the lead away from Phillips. Findlay Lyons had a bright start there in the yellow helmet, the yellow and green helmet, to take third, side by side with his compatriot there. But Denny Babicek also having that good start on the Tony Kart, P4 at this stage of the race. And there was an opportunity for this top 4 to break away, but as we often see in X30 Junior, they battled, they scrapped, and that would give the opportunity for Riley Cranham to get on the scene and start making his way through the field.
Yeah, exactly that. It was at this point of the race where it really started to feel more like back when they were racing in minis. Very, very busy. There was the moment for Hernan Rodriguez getting caught out with another Denny Babicek going through. Max Ewell, the other driver involved in that one. But this was just a shaky start to their races. I was thinking that all these drivers are going to get caught out in some sort of incident here, as you were seeing move after move, lap after lap. They did eventually calm it down as Lyons again trying to push his way through that order, and we saw earlier on and later on in the race trying to go for that move around the outside at turn 1. This is the drive through from Riley Cranham. Really strong drive from Cranham in this one. Those positions gained and then taking the win by over 2 seconds.
That lap there, lap 6, was really crucial because that work between Cranham and Phillips is what gave them that 1-2 position. Yes, they weren't quite able to hold on to it, but for Riley Cranham, poised, calm, knew what he needed to do, showed his class in those key laps. I love that move. That's great angle as well. Bruno Grieling down the inside of Findlay Lyons. That was for 5th place, and this was the last lap. Babicek had 2nd safe. Phillips holds on to 3rd, a positive start for the 2023 X30 Mini IAME Euro Series champion, so he will look to build from there. That does complete the end of round 1 for X30 Junior. Very early stages still, but it's Alaman and Cranham both on 0. Archie Owen and Denny Babicek on 2. Nilas Malik and Jesse Phillips on 3. Antoine Venant and Elvis Krzauskas wrap out the top 8 at the moment on 4.
Oh, we look forward to seeing what they can do later on. But we now turn our attention to the mini category here. So many new names joining us in the mini category from around the world as the first qualifying heat is joining us. Groups A versus B. The pole sitter from the USA. It's his first time here in the IAME paddock. Great to have him here. Win Gottschalker, who, like you say, from America, born in the Caribbean islands as well, but lives in the USA, joining us here for his first time. Here's what he had to say after he polled it in qualifying. Well, Mini X30, the first qualifying is done and dusted. And our man on pole position in his first appearance in the IAME Winter Cup. Win Gottschalker joins us from America. Win, congratulations, fastest in group. How are you feeling after that?
Good. It's my first race here. I feel really good. And I thought I will get like third because I did a big mistake in the hairpin, but I still got.
You were running around with a fellow teammate out there, I'm pretty sure, right at the front. How was that? Certainly seemed to work for you, but it looked like you were racing a little bit at some points.
Well, no, I was not racing. I was just pushing him, trying to go faster. Yeah. P1 and P2.
Yeah. Well, it certainly worked out for you, because you certainly did, of course, with Charlie Clough finishing there in P2. But how do you feel that you've done enough to beat the second group? Because you've got another group going out. Do you think that lap was fast enough?
Yeah, I think it's fast.
Yeah. Well, congratulations. Well done. We'll see what you can do out in those races. Well done.
Thank you.
Confirming, again, it was fast enough. Maintained that pole position, just fractionally, though, ahead of Aurelio Longatano, who joins him on the front row of the grid. There he is. I'm sure there's a nice smile underneath that helmet as well as he gets ready for this.
Yeah, Aurelio's really pleased to be fastest of those who ran in the second group of timed qualifiers in X30 Mini. And I like the look of how Spirit Karting have been preparing for this weekend. We've obviously seen a good performance from Dan Alaman in the juniors, and they've got several drivers in the X30 Mini category who could have a strong showing here in Valencia.
Well, like you were saying, they are a mini team. As far as I can remember, they've always had minis. It's with, of course, Dan Alaman, who's obviously grown up now when he stepped up into the juniors, that he's wanted to stick with the Swiss space team, and they've gone with him. So great to see, and clearly they know what they're doing in that front as well. So very good to see. There from Portugal, Francisco Correa, who's joining us on the second row of the grid. Again, really great qualifying for him, running with the Malau Racing team. And you can see him there in the colours there, the red, the blacks, the whites. It's great to see. And a very striking helmet livery he's got there as well. He will be joined by the Irishman, Christian Kobe, on that second row of the grid. So it is a packed grid full of talent as the 1 minute and clear the grid, board goes up. So we are moments away from starting this one. There is Christian Kobe lining up, ready to go. And there you go. His mechanic says, I'll stand out the way for you. No, you could stay there. We don't mind.
It's good congratulations there, or trying to hype the driver up as well. Christian Kobe, I think, is on here potentially for a good weekend. He's one of the drivers who's stayed in the category. So he's got some experience from 2024 to rely on. It's changed teams. Was with Oliver Rowland Motorsport last year. They, of course, ended their operation at the end of the 2024 season. So he's now one of the many British and Irish drivers with the Fusion Motorsport team. I think it's going to be a bit of a challenge for us, mate, seeing all of them running together. But Christian had a good IWF.
Yep.
Could have, with a bit of better luck, had a podium. In the end was P7, but it was a good P7. So yeah, keep an eye on the Irish driver there on row 2.
Certainly so. Engines fire up then. Drivers making their way out for their first race of the weekend. It is time for Mini X30, and let's take you through that full starting lineup. Win Gottschalker from the USA joins us for the first time this weekend. He'll have Aurelio Longatano joining him alongside Francisco Correa and Christian Kobe on row 2. They'll have Nicolas Lopez and Vicente Capella on row number 3. Adrian Jimenez and Daniel Ferguson on row 4. They'll have Hugo Fuentes and Pablo Segura on row 5. Alex Ferry is not on the grid. We got reports that the driver of the 434 has not taken part in this one. So Austin Newstead will be alone on row number 6. Adam Buhoffa and Jorge Miguel round out row number 7.
On the 8th row, we find Luca Pavel and Nahil Padovani. Johnston Stewart is on row number 9 alongside Hugo Berner. And then on row 10, Ilyas Sami and Andy Stewart, the brother and sister duo from Northern Ireland, there on rows 9 and 10 inside the top 20. Ollie Surley and Rosalind Heineke start on row number 11. Artur Konovalov and Stanislav Ziarko go from row number 12. Jack Harney and Philippe Massard start on row 13. It's 27 drivers meant to be in the field. We, of course, got one non-starter already mentioned. It's Max Lofer starting alone on row number 14. 2 formation laps for everybody. One of them completed. Our grid info there that yes, the number 434 is missing from the grid. That is Harrods Ferry on the comp cart, who unfortunately will not be able to take advantage of that P11 start.
Yeah, not too sure what has caused that to happen. We did see some moments actually earlier on in morning warm-up from our commentary box position. There was some drama out on track, so maybe could be one of those, but still completely unsure. So hopefully Harrods Ferry is all okay. Right then, this should be a good one for us here, Andrew. We've got, well, not the unknown from karting, because Vingol Chalka, a very experienced young karter, he's raced in a lot at this moment, but it's his first time here in the IAME Euro Series with this grid of drivers, and, well, looking forward to see what he can do in this Winter Cup.
Yeah, it's quite a few American-based drivers here this weekend, and some good quality there as well. So let's see how they do against the Europeans. End of this second formation lap. The drivers will go through the cut through into the tram lines, and there'll be eyes on those lights and over to Martin Bean to get this one underway. X30 Mini, Groups A versus B. Oh, it's a bit of a bumpy one towards the back of the field. And down in towards turn 1, we are racing, we are green. The IAME Winter Cup for X30 Mini is underway. It's 7 laps for the drivers in this one. And it's a good start for Vingol Chalka there for Jamie Green Racing, as there's more goings on in the second half of the field. It's a little bit fractious in the middle of the pack. Change towards the front. It looks like Kiko Correa has come through into second place. The red and white of the Monlau Motorsport team will like the look of that.
Yeah, he certainly will. Well, let's see what will happen here, because again, it's all starting to kick off just that little bit here, as everyone going for the same piece of track as they make their way through that final sector now, pushing their way through 12, 13 and 14 onto that 135-meter back straight now. This is where the slipstream kicks in. This is where we see the lunges into the final chicane. Are we going to see them early days? We are going to see some defensiveness in the early days, and unfortunately drivers getting caught out with that one, and that is not the sort of start they would want through that first chicane. So it is Golchago leads the way. Lopez and Jimenez, I think, getting caught out on that one. Logatano and Kobe as well. But look at this train here, Andrew. Our time is green. Can't even tell the difference between first and 25th place out there.
And this is one of the things that makes X30 Mini Racing so exciting around this Valencia circuit, because those big, long straights keep the pack together. You're right, it was Adrian Jimenez running wide and through the formation lap cut through at the end of that first lap. So sure Race Control and others will be just looking over that one, making sure that everything was okay. But Golchago leads this race. Nicolas Lopez, those distinctive Calicart by Jorge Pescador colours in second place. Christian Kobe, mentioned him earlier on the grid. Keep an eye on him. Well, he's gone up 1 position so far, from 4th to 3rd. Other drivers who've had a good start. Luca Pavel's up 7 spots to P8, and Jack Harney for Falcon Racing Team is on the move in the second half of the field. Started 25th, now 16th.
Yeah, indeed. So big ups and downs there, but Vicente Capella and Adrian Jimenez still holding strong in 6th and 7th place. They have not gained or lost any positions just as of yet. But Kobe's heading the fastest lap of the race. He's still there in 3rd place, pushing his way through. But like you say, Golchago holding on to the front of this one, but not for much longer. Well, no, he is still holding on, because it's all kicking off there behind. Lopez now starting to step up. Kobe, Logatano, Fuentes, all there as well, all fighting for that same piece of tarmac once again. However, they are losing time to Golchago, who is breaking away at the front here. That gap is opening up now to just over a second, and off the track. And who's that there? It's the 422 that's gone backwards. That is a disaster in the top ranking positions there. That is Adrian Jimenez, who is battling right at the front. And now tumbling down the order.
Yeah, he's having a bit of a rough race, is Adrian Jimenez. Let's have a look at a replay here. So this was on the first lap.
4.59, contacting post 10, forcing 2 carts to cut the track. 4.59.
Wow, Nicolas Lopez is 4.59, and that's being called for pushing 2 drivers off the track there. Now you can see him going through. That's an interesting one for me because, like you say, it looked like a defensive line sweeping, everything like that. It was just so much happening there. It's I'm sure race control will be looking at that from 4 different angles to assess what they really do think of that one.
Indeed. So we're on the 4th lap of 7 scheduled for this first race for X30 Mini. There is your race leader, Win Goldschalker, flying the flag for the United States of America, flying the flag for the Caribbean as well. Jamie Green Racing, who in this category had the champion, of course, in the IAME Euro Series in the full championship season, which will be getting set later on in the spring. You'll be able to watch every single weekend race for the IAME Euro Series here on the IAME Euro Series channel, so do stick around for that. But we know that the JGR team have got the competency, they've got the skill, they've got the talent to get a kart up to the front. As we have another look at a replay, that is the 4.13. That's what happened to Jimenez there, the 4.22. Rejoined back on the circuit, and unfortunately he's now down in P22. But no, Jamie Green Racing, very good last year at both a national and an international level, and there's no reason to believe that it's going to be any different this year. And in the hands of Win Goldschalker, they've got potentially a new star. Yeah, they certainly have, and he has been caught now, and we do say this in Mini, it's very difficult to break away on your own. You just lack the slipstream, you lack the toe, anything like that. And now his second in qualifying, Aurelio Longatano, has closed in now, and there is absolutely nothing between the two of them there. Confirmation of that one, 0.084 of a second. However, Kobe is in a difficult situation here now because those two have caught up to each other. They will now start to get the toe, the slipstream. They'll push each other away. Kobe's there in a bit of a no man's land at the moment. Hasn't got Correa, who's just behind right with him. So he's just going to lose out on time here unless we have seen it, he can have that outright pace. I think for Christian Kobe right now, just keep hitting those apexes, keep hitting those braking markers, do everything that you can, because he's got a good gap over Kiko Correa back there in 4th place. And actually, good news for Kobe at the moment is Kiko Correa is in a pretty similar scenario. He's on his own, he hasn't got any helpers pushing him along, he hasn't got a draft buddy. So at the moment, Christian Kobe, if he can just keep his pace up, is looking pretty good for 3rd place. We're on to the final lap. Gottschalker's going to have a think about defending here down into turn 1. Doesn't defend too hard. That's nicely positioned from Win Gottschalker there in the 4.62. Aurelio Longatano has got to maybe get a little bit inventive here to find a way through, and that's one way of doing it. Down the inside, out of turn number 4, and the Swiss driver goes through. Nicely done there. You see, these karts, because they're a little bit smaller, they can race a lot more through that tight infield section, but now it's all down to Longatano to see if he can defend at this position now, and keep an eye because Kobe will be smiling now because he is closing in from 3rd place. So keep a very close eye on these 3 drivers. Once again, Gottschalker looking to the inside there as they go onto the back straight here. Not close enough for the move. Big look over the shoulder. Longatano's holding a defensive line still. I don't think he needed to do that just there because now he's put himself in the danger zone. Gottschalker to the outside here. They'll be 2 wide. Here comes Kobe. Round the outside, 3 wide. Clips the curb. My goodness me, that was superb to take the win in the first race. Christian Kobe, take a bow in that one because you nailed that chicane. Magnificent. That is what Christian Kobe can do. We saw little glimpses of it in 2024. The move to Fusion Motorsport, at least at this stage of the IAME Winter Cup, has brought him success. That is a race victory on the road for Christian Kobe in that 4.12, and what a way to do it. Fair play to Gottschalker and Longatano. They fought that one hard, and again, that's one of the aspects of X30 Mini Racing that we love, that when you do get that battle, we talk about the battle buffer, and the top 2 there needing probably 1.52 seconds to be truly safe.
for one. Exactly what's just happened there. Christian Kobe, third at the start of lap 1, pulls off the win.
Yeah.
They'll head into pit lane. Front fairings, weight, and all scrutineering aspects will be checked. Well, Christian Kobe, you can be proud of that one. That was nice.
A good way to start the weekend for the driver who in this very event last year in the Minis finished it 36th and stone cold last in that final. This is redemption for Christian Kobe. Win Golchalka and Aurelio Longitano finishing second and third. Kiko Correa finishing in a good, strong position there still in P4. Hugo Fuentes from Vicente Capella, Daniel Ferguson from Aaron Buffhofer, and Luca Pavel finishing in 9th place. Nicolas Lopez running out the top 10 ahead of Johnson Stewart. Jorge Miguel finishing in 12th place ahead of Austin Newstead. Andy Stewart in 14th place, 6 places gained, and Ilya Sami finishing in P15, 4 places gained.
Yeah, some good drives through the field there. Artur Konovalov up 7 spots to 16th. Pablo Segura P17. Stanislav Ziarko P18. Hugo Berner and Jack Harney completes the top 20. Adrian Jimenez was running as high as P3, but 2 offs. The second of them significant. In the end, he finishes P21. Philippe Massard, Nahil Padovani, Roslin Heineke, and Max Lofer in the top 25. And Ollie Surley, the last of the finishers, P26. Harrods Ferry did not take the start.
Look at the highlights from that one. Shaky start in the background there. Calm, collected at the front. And there you can see the American Golchalka just breaking away. A little shaky under braking there. You can see how close they were in that midfield sector. 3-4 wide in the background. Relatively clean start there, but all the way at the beginning. This was the first lap into the chicane, and already drama. 2 drivers off the track, and some drivers getting called out for it there as well. Just saying, little bit feisty on that first lap into that final chicane.
Yeah, a lot of energy in the Minis. They've obviously had to wait quite a while to get racing. They've had their third turn to go out there on circuits. It's been a long time since they did their time qualifying, and yeah, a little bit close through those final couple of corners. The 459 involved in the early stages. Nicolas Lopez was there running well, but in the end would slot down to 10th place. This is how we lost Adrian Jimenez from major contention in this race. Was able to get back onto circuit, but in the end was P21. Meanwhile, back at the front, great move this initially from Aurelio Longitano. Got a bit of a switch back there on the run through turn number 4, but look at there, Christian Kobe closing in all the time. And look how Kobe doesn't initially attack into the corner. He makes sure that he hits that apex there. Brave on the inside, hits the apex again coming off of turn 19, and then sprints for the line. If Christian Kobe had gone too hard, if he'd got a bit too eager into that corner, that move wouldn't have worked, but it was all about the entry, just holding back a little bit to know that the opportunity would open up on that third apex of the chicane and then punch it for the line.
Yeah, exactly that. And again, just pushing it to the end there. Nicely done. It was a close fight. Absolutely sublime through that final chicane. I was worried about that third apex, but yeah, it just pushed through. We are going to take a short ad break. Don't go anywhere. The second of the Mini X30 qualifying heat is coming up next.
It makes life a lot easier out the track, so you don't have to worry about school and on-track performance and grades and all that sort of stuff.
The school understands exactly what I'm doing. They understand, how important it is for me, and the schedule that they, cater for me is really well balanced, and I really enjoy it.
It's a very fine balance between his sporting career and also his studies. He doesn't have to compromise on either. I'm very happy that Minerva has supported us through this journey.
The communication is great, and yeah, I'm enjoying it. I think MVA would help a lot of other races. A lot of people come into the track and asking about it. What do you do for homeschool? Like, how does it work? And I always say, Minerva, you need to contact them and get going with them, because it's made my life so much easier.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the 2025 edition to the IAME Winter Cup, live here from sunny Valencia, just outside the city at the Lucas Guerrero circuit. And I've got to say, absolutely fabulous day of racing we've been having so far. We're halfway through the first round of the Mini X30 qualifying heat. Group C versus D will be coming up next. Then we'll be heading back to the seniors for, can you believe it, already their third round of qualifying heats of the weekend. But this is going to be a very busy one on this one. Charlie Clough and Mathis Brageau starting on the front row of this one. There is Charlie Clough, or Charles Clough, as he's got there on his name, getting himself ready for this one. He's just witnessed a very close race from his fellow Jamie Green Racing teammate out there, and he's probably thinking, can I do the same in this one?
I think he definitely can. The start will be key for Clough. He's another one of the drivers who has changed teams with Ollie Rowland Motorsport last year. He's gone in a slightly different direction. I mean, they've either the drivers have gone to Fusion or they've gone to JGR. For Clough, though, I think based on what we saw yesterday in qualifying, he's got a good platform there. Say Will Green won with that platform last year. Mathis Brageau there, another driver back in X30 Mini. Another strong contender from the Spirit karting team, the Swiss-based team. 1 minute board in the air from grid officer Ross Upton. Keep an eye on those two on row 2, Santiago Barros and Aidan Valio. Very experienced drivers at this level, and we've already seen on the road a winner from row 2 in the first race, and they'll hopefully be using that as inspiration for good performances here.
We do expect so. It's that calm before the storm here in this next qualifying heat, Mini X30. We wait for that whistle to blow and those engines fire up and they make their way out on circuit, but still very, very tough racing we have seen so far. But like we say, at this moment, provisional, of course, Christian Kobe still leading that intermediate classification with those 0 points to his name. Oh, that's a great sight there, isn't it? Just a full grid of minis lined up, ready to go racing as those engines do fire up. Let's take you through that full starting lineup as we get ready for this qualifying heat. Charles Clough and Mathis Brageau round out row number 1. Santiago Barros and Aidan Vallejo on row number 2. They'll have Mason Brooks and Nahil El Gahoudi on row number 3. George House and Martin Rodriguez go from row 4. They'll have Abraham Shelvis and Dida Dadale on row number 5. Alfie Davidson and Max Cruz go from row 7. They'll have Milan Baku and Miguel Martins on row number 7.
George Clark and Austin Gibson go from the 8th row of the grid. Mason Hibbert and Joshua Lochresen start on row number 9. Theo Palfrin and Min-Jae Kim go from row 10. Miko Shervers and Stepan Mazepin go from row number 11. Olivia Reitens and Ada O'Brien go from row number 12. 26 drivers in total in this one, completed by row 13. Juan Torres and Zane Burgess has won several titles in the United States of America. That is not reflective of the pace, though, of the 421. Had a DQ in qualifying yesterday, so keep an eye on Burgess. I would not be surprised if we see him coming through the field pretty quickly.
Yeah, I can imagine so, but we'll have to wait and see. That one, drivers end their outlap onto their formation lap. This one then, at the end of it, they should be 2 by 2, side by side, rolling start formation. So again, interesting scenario that we've seen already in this one. We've seen the close races. We've seen drivers actually able to close in and break away in the mini category. Is it going to be a similar story in this one? Are we going to see that long fight in this one? By looking at sort of the names you've got in this top section, you've got some well developed drivers in the mini category out there. Nahil El Gahoudi is one of them, the Moroccan, who is certainly looking strong in this one as well. Mathis Brageau, of course, on that front row of the grid. Then you've got the likes of Mason Brooks as well, very experienced mini driver. This is another year for him racing in this category. So, again, curious to see how he develops over the course of this weekend. And, of course, that doesn't exclude many other drivers. There are some shocking names that are a little further back, though. Austin Gibson, George Clark, names that we know a little bit further up the order who are in that mid-pack in this one. But, again, we will have to just wait and see. Here we go then, into the final corner then, through the cut-through. Pace is a little high right now. I'll be curious to see if we're going round again. Let's see, I think we are going round again. Yep. It is a false start, yes, so not the start they will have wanted. And that all falls down to, I think, it was just a little bit quick.
Yeah, I think the field went a bit early. They've obviously had their instructions through driver's briefing to go once they pass the yellow acceleration line, which is beyond the exit of turn number 19. So race director Martin Bean not satisfied that that instruction was adhered to. So we go around again for another formation lap. I'm going to go with a slightly left field one here to just kind of throw in a longer odds winner for this race. How about George House? Starts 7th in this one on the inside of row number 4, and in race trim has looked very good the last 6 months. I remember when we saw him in IWF at the back end of the year, and it didn't win it, but it had a good chance and came on strong through the course of the weekend to in the end take 6th. So yeah, keep an eye on the 477, because that's another driver who's got the adage of experience at this level on his side. Versus some of the newer competitors.
Indeed. This looks a little bit calmer here into the tram lines. Lights are out. We are racing this time down in towards turn number 1 again. And again, it's a good start for the inside line again. Holding on to that one. Clough battles going through. Some drivers getting caught out wide in the outside. It looked like the 440 there going wide. But we'll try and figure out who that was. I think that was Alfie Davidson, actually, from the mid-pack. So that's a disastrous start for him. But all the meanwhile, at the front here, well, Charles Clough breaking away nicely.
Yeah, good start there for Charlie Clough. Has got Mason Brooks for company there in 2nd place. Going through onto the infield straight now. And the first of the big stops on the brakes. Mason Brooks defends to the inside, just trying to hold off Santiago Barros there in the grey, silver and red helmet. Round turn 14. Onto the back straight. This is where the speed really starts to build for the drivers before they get on the brakes again into the chicane. And one you can see there, Charlie Clough had probably a 4 or 5 kart length lead heading round turn 15, and in a matter of a few corners it's gone, and he might lose the lead entirely because Brooks is down the inside into turn 1. Very decisive decision there from Mason Brooks. He takes the lead.
Yep, certainly does. Nice controlled pace there for the drivers. And I've got to say, there's been some big movers in these opening laps here as it's all swapping over again, though. Mason Brooks under pressure. He's going to lose out once more to Charlie Clough and drops back down to 2nd place. But like we say, Austin Gibson's gained 10. Mason Hibbert's gained 9 places in this one. So they're all moving up the order here pretty promptly right now. So this is going to be a very close and compact front-leading group, I can imagine, in these next few moments, especially if Clough and Brooks continue to battle the way they are. Down the back straight. Now, I have opened up a little bit here. You will see them concertina up again. You cannot break away in Mini X30. You have to work together with someone. However, they're getting a little bit crossed and tangled there in the background. 3 wide over the start-finish line there.
Yeah, we're very close. This is all Matis Bragios in there. Nahil El Gahudi trying to go around the outside. In the NDC there, the white and yellow liveried machine. I tell you what, Austin Gibson is looking pretty quick here, and he's now down the inside of his teammate Mason Brooks and has taken 2nd place. Austin Gibson, who stepped up to the full power version of IAME Water Swift platform racing last year, and he struggled a little bit in the early stages of 2024. Sometimes it just takes a driver a few weeks, a few months to find their sweet spot. For me, Austin Gibson did that probably in around September last year. Meant he was out of contention for his championships, but this is a new year. Not championship concerns this weekend. This is all about winning this single event, but this is a good early sign
for Austin Gibson in 2025, that he's straight on the race pace. He had difficulties in qualifying yesterday, but he's rebounded from that. Right now, for me, he looks the quickest of this front quartet.
Yeah, it certainly does. There, the graphic gap from 4th to 1st, only 0.3 of a second as George House sends it down the inside of Mason Brooks at turn number 1. Again, the pace is very strong here, but it's not over for all 4 of these drivers. Again, they need to just keep pushing forward right now. Abraham Shelvis is still in this fight as well. He's in P5. He's just behind, but he's in another battle. He's got Santiago Barros, he's got Mason Hibbert there as well. They're all trying their level best to close in on this group, and all the way you're seeing it there, I think they are starting to close in, but it's whether or not that Clough can hold on to this lead, or whether or not he's going to have the likes of Gibson battling away with him in the next few laps.
I think that's a distinct possibility that could occur. Looking a bit further down the order, Mason Hibbert is up 10 places, so another one of the fusions coming through the field. George House is now looking down the inside of Austin Gibson for 2nd place. We said keep an eye on him.
Wow.
And Excel Motorsports George House is through and into 2nd place. Another driver coming through the field. Stepan Mazepin is up to P13, and the American champion in smaller IAME categories back home in the States. But Zane Burgess here racing at a mini level, up 9 places, up to P17.
Indeed, pushing through the order very nicely. And like you say, yeah, up those 10 places now into P16. So another little extra one for him there. Eyes on this. George House, big surprise to me on that one. I was thinking Gibson was going to go for the move before we were going to see House go for it. So that's an interesting one for me. And watching it here, House has got the pace because he's got to this position here now. But in doing so, he's dropping off the back of Clough now, and I think even with Gibson pushing him alongside here, is there going to be a change once more between the two? I don't think so, actually, because, yeah, that toe there really closed them in, actually.
And I just wonder, it's an element that you can sometimes see in X30 Mini. I'm pretty sure that Austin Gibson's had a growth spurt since I last saw him at the back end of the autumn.
Potentially so. He's significantly taller than the 2 in front of him.
It's significantly taller than the 2 in front of him, and actually from a slipstream perspective, he's in a nice place right now. And when he's at the front of a little train, you know, there's literally more resistance on his slightly taller body and frame than the other two. So for Gibson to just sit there now in 3rd place, by this time, there's still a lap and a half to go. Just allowing George House to do all the hard work could be a good play. George House is doing the hard work. He's stepping down the inside to take the lead away from Charlie Clough. Charlie Clough's going to try and retain 2nd place. The switchback potentially here for Austin Gibson, and Austin Gibson has played that very nicely indeed. George House has the lead of this one, though. They're going to head once again to the final chicane. What does Gibson do here? Does George House go for the defensive move? No, he's just going to sit there for now. Through the chicane, nice and tidy. Keep an eye on the likes of Mason Brooks and Abraham Shelvis in that 2nd group. This is going to be a tense finale to the first heat of the weekend for Group C and D in X30 Mini. George House has got through the first overtaking zone. All right, still holding that race lead. That's the 2nd one done. He's now going to have to try to hit it in the middle of the road. Charlie Clough's throwing it down the inside. That's a lovely move by Clough to take 2nd place away from Gibson. He's now trying to wrestle an opening there through the infield section, but George House has shut the door, has still got the lead. There's still probably another 3 opportunities to lose the lead, though. Here's one of them into turn number 11. House has positioned his kart perfectly there. That's another one of them gone. He's going to have the speed. Oh, and nearly a little touch there between Gibson and Clough. That could be good news for George House. He's got about a kart length and a half lead, but here comes Shelvis, here comes Hibbert and Brooks. This is going to be a classic X30 Mini finale into the chicane. Can George House thread his way through? Can he get on the power to take the checkered flag? Yes, he can. George House wins his first heat of the weekend. A really, really nice bit of defensive driving. He didn't panic. He didn't go too hard to the apexes. He kept his corner exit speeds high, and he takes the win. He joins Christian Kobe on 0 points. They will share the lead, at least provisionally for this moment, in the intermediate classification at the end of round 1, and it's a good race for the British drivers as well. 1, 2, 3, 4. House up 6 to take the win. Charlie Clough holds himself in the top 2, and for Austin Gibson and Mason Hibbert, up 13 places each for the 2 Fusion drivers. Absolutely fantastic. We will hopefully be hearing the thoughts of some of the drivers, or one of the drivers, in a few moments' time. First of all, they've got to get themselves into the pit lane, into Parc Fermé, go through the mandatory checks. A really entertaining start to things here in X30 Mini for the 2025 IAME Winter Cup. Do hope you're enjoying the coverage wherever you're joining us from. There's Zane Burgess just coming in the Gainbridge liveried kart, 421. We'll check out where he finished in a moment, because here's your provisional results. House from Clough, Gibson, Hibbert, Abraham Shelvis flying the flag for the host nation in 5th. Mason Brooks, P6. Good drive from Belgium's Milan Beku up to P7. Matis Bragio, Nahil El Gahudi, and Teo Palfrine complete the top 10. Good drive there from Palfrine, the Portuguese driver, up 9 spots. Santiago Barros, P11. Aiden Valle, P12. Zane Burgess, your biggest mover in that race, up 13 spots to P13, so showing that there is good race pace there for the American racing with Spirit Karting this weekend. Miguel Martins, George Clark, they completed the top 15. Minjae Kim up 4 to 16th. Alfie Davidson, after that wild moment at the start, recovered back to P17. Will look to rebuild in round 2 of these qualifying heats. Stepan Mazepin up 4 to 18th. Deirdre Dadale, Max Cruz, they completed the top 20 ahead of Oliver Ratians, Martin Rodriguez, Miko Shivers, Joshua Larusian, Aidan O'Brien, the last of the 25 finishers. One driver who didn't take the start was Juan Torres. Let's have a look at some of the highlights then from the qualifying heats for Groups C and D. Back to the race start. Charlie Clough from pole position held that lead. For Alfie Davidson, starting in the middle of the pack, he would have a half spin, find himself thrown out of the main pack, lost a number of positions. Zane Burgess there actually held back a little bit at the start, just to keep himself out of any trouble. Exit of turn 2, always a hotbed of activity on lap number 1, but all in all, a good start. All 25 drivers who took the green flag got to the end of the race. Mason Brooks had a bright start in the early stages of this one. This was him down the inside of Charlie Clough to take the race lead. Clough would go back down the inside on the exits of the infield section to reassert his dominance at the front of this field. And it was looking pretty good for the JGR driver in these early stages. Austin Gibson, difficult qualifying yesterday, drove through the field and quite quickly found himself up in the top 3. This is him down the inside of his teammate Mason Brooks to take P2, but George House was still there as well. P4 on lap number 3, but definitely in with a chance. House went down the inside of Brooks, trying to keep on that rear bumper of the fast-charging Gibson. Charlie Clough, meanwhile, continued to lead this race nicely. This was a key move. House down the inside of Gibson. Gibson didn't fight it too hard, but it gave George House track position that he then capitalised on lap 6. Down the inside of Charlie Clough to take the lead. Charlie Clough trying to hold on to P2. This was good driving by Austin Gibson to know that the cutback was going to be on, out through turn 13 into 14. And heading towards the final lap, it was indeed George House from Gibson from Clough. Brilliant positioning by George House. Nice and in the centre of the road, kept his exit speeds high throughout the course of the final lap. To be honest, none of them really had a chance, even a 50-50 chance, to get side by side and go for a big move on the brakes. But for George House, first win from 7th on the grid as well. That will give him a lot of confidence for the second and third round of heats later on today. And I think it'll catch the attention of some of the others as well, that George House is going to be a contender here this weekend. We'll see whether he can continue a winning streak in the second round later on this afternoon. But for now, let's head down to Parc Fermé for the second time today. Anthony Jordan, over to you.
Much, Andrew, down here in Parc Ferme with our race winner from that one, George House. George, congratulations. What a race that was for you to start your Winter Cup in 2025. How are you feeling at the end of that one?
Absolutely amazing. It was such a good race. It was really tough, but we got there in the end, just defending on the last lap. It's brilliant.
It wasn't just, of course, a race win on that one. You gained 6 places. You certainly had to work for that one. Tell us, what was it like at the beginning of that race? How did you gain those positions early on?
It was mainly the start, really. I got a lot of positions done then. It was really good at the start. Mega start. Just did like most of my positions there. Yeah.
Excellent. Do you reckon you can maintain that momentum as the weekend goes on?
Absolutely.
Excellent. We love to hear it. Well, congratulations, George, and we'll see you later on.
Thank you.
Excellent stuff there for the Mini X30s, but we head back over. It's Senior X30 coming up next. Andrew, back up to you.
Thank you, Anthony. Indeed, it is. X30 Senior Round 3 of their qualifying heats is upon us, and it kicks off with Groups B and F to be out on circuit in a few moments' time for 11 laps, 15.5 kilometres. The story so far in X30 Senior, if you're just joining us, a bit different to what we saw at the IAME Winter Cup a year ago. This time a year ago we were talking about Marcus Luzio and Finn McLaughlin, dominating win streaks, pulling out a lead over the rest of the field, and everybody else trying to catch up and keep themselves in play for the final, which of course did happen and was key for later on in the weekend. Here in 2025, far more open. There is no driver across the 99 registered at the start of the race meeting who are unbeaten. We've had some very good performances from the likes of Thibaut Ramicus and Danny Carinini, but it is, for me, looking at the numbers and everything, this is a wide open X30 Senior category for the 2025 IAME Winter Cup, which is going to serve well for us in the entertainment industry. There's a quick look into the pre-grid. Some of the drivers for this next one, and there are some big hitters in this next race. Eloy Gonzalez, you can just see in the bottom left-hand corner of your picture, in the 271, needs to recover after a difficult run in round number 2. The reigning IWF X30 Junior Champion, Kenzo Craigie, also the FIA Junior World Champion. What a story 2024 was for Kenzo Craigie. He is there alongside on the front row. But keep an eye on Christian Caballero, a new name to the IAME Euro Series scene, but very experienced driver in the Spanish Championships and has looked pretty good so far this week, P3. Keen Garrity as well in P4 has had a good start. Right, let's take you through the full grid as the drivers roll out for this next heat. It's Groups B and F in X30 Senior. And it's 33 drivers preparing with their 2 formation laps. Eloy Gonzalez starts on pole. Kenzo Craigie alongside on the front row. Christian Caballero and Kian Garrity on row 2. Clement Neutron's looked quick so far this week on his new Cosmic chassis with the Dream Racing team. He starts P5. Marius Barryberg, quick again, was quick here last year and is starting this one from 6th on the grid. Hugo Basson and Marcus Gloon, they go from row number 4. Last year's winner, Adrian Mustinez and Sam Woolley starts on row number 5. The dominant X30 Junior Champion from 2024 in the IAME Euro Series, Harrison Mackie, hasn't had everything his own way so far this week on his X30 Senior debut at this level. But he's there on row number 6. It only takes one race for him to come alive. He'll be joined by Max Camelander, who had a retirement in this race earlier on today. Ruben Moya starts on row 7. Very, very good run from Ruben Moya earlier on today. He's got Thomas Hansen for company on that one. Nico Garcia and Luke Taylor go from row 8, and then on row 9 it's Marlon Bayer and Otto Plikkinen.
Row number 10, and rounding out the top 20, you'll see Marc Granada of Spain and Tristan Powell of the United Kingdom, followed by Rossan Den Driver and Juan Barros, who start on row number 11. Elias Lyman and Luna Claret on row number 12. They'll have Raul Luis Martinez and Aaron Kivlo on row number 13. Morgan Knudsen and Marcus Schilkunas on row 14. They'll have Julian Berbacher and Keanu Wellens on row 15. Daniel Haratse and Ulysses Crespo on row 16. Mariano Alatorre rounds out the 33 kart field. And looking at it, I believe we've got all drivers out there.
Yep, everybody out on circuit. Quick review of the points after 2 rounds in the intermediate classification. Danny Caronini and Cian Geraghty share the lead on 2 points. Geraghty is in this race, so it's going to be intriguing to see if he can hold on 2 points. Is it going to put Danny Caronini under any pressure? Lewis Bird not in this race, currently holds 3rd on 3 points. Patrick Ogrodovchik is 4th on 5 points. Thibaut Ramick is 5th on 6. Senna Mounier 6th on 7. And then the share for 7th place between Zach Green and Peter Stiller there, both on 8. Onboard view facing forward for Hugo Besson. Looking to go forward is the French driver for VDK Racing. We're under starters' orders for the start of round 3 of the qualifying heats in X30 Senior Groups B and F. Eyes on those lights. Do we go racing? Yes, we do. Very good start for Eloy Gonzalez and those on the pole side of the field. Kenzo Craigie's going to be down to around 5th place by the time they get to turn 1. 3 wide in the middle of the pack. It's going to be very tight in the middle of the pack. I think there's a problem potentially for Harrison Mackie out there. Yes, there he is. Harrison Mackie in the pits. His brother Lewis Mackie trying to find out what the problem is on the 221, but that is not good news at all for last year's IAME Euro Series junior champion.
It's a terrible start to his senior career on this one. It's just not gone his way this weekend. He's looked so confident and full of life at the start of this one, but I can imagine he's just feeling just that little bit deflated now with this result. Well, let's see what happens as this race progresses, because another driver who was feeling deflated earlier on, and he's not going, and that's such a shame for the 2 Mackie brothers there, Lewis and Harrison, and they'll be distraught with that one. Eyes on this one, though. Gonzalez and Antoine, 1-2 right now, and it's going to be Antoine for the lead. Down the inside through turn number 1, and he takes that lead away from Eloy Gonzalez. Now, Gonzalez will be happy with the 2nd place, especially after what happened earlier on, but my goodness, Utron smacked that curb there at turn number 3. We saw what happened to Nikita Nikashov earlier on. You don't want to hit that curb too hard.
No, it's a big risk of damaging your drivetrain. But for Clement Utron, this is becoming a bit of a theme for Clement Utron so far this weekend. Very quick starts for the Frenchman. The question is, can he keep it going for a full 11 laps? Hugo Besson's had a good start as well, as up 4 places into 3rd. Christian Caballero there in the Kids to Win machine has got his teammate and the reigning Winter Cup champion, Adria Mustinez. So keep an eye on those 2 karts and the mint blue-green livery trying to work together and move up the further up the order. Here's a view on board with Hugo Besson. Directly ahead of us, Eloy Gonzalez through this tricky part of the course into the infield. This is where you need your setup to be good, and this is also the stage of the competition. Anthony, you saw it a little bit there on the front left of Hugo Besson. Oh, there's been a sizable incident at turn 1, and I think that's Marlon Bayer, and is that Rosanne Driver off, and is there a 3rd kart involved as well, because Raul Luis Martinez has fallen down the order?
Yeah, possibly so. I did see marshals running out of the corner of the commentary box window. Couldn't see what was happening, though, and that picture there just showing it, and that's a disaster for those drivers. More so, I would say, for Rosanne Driver. Of course, she had that mechanical problem earlier on in the race, and of course now with a DNF off at turn number 1, and looking at it, there are some big tyre marks on that circuit where they've gone off.
Only 2 cars involved. Raul Luis Martinez's transponder didn't come through in sector number 1, but it has come through sector number 3 now, so that's a bit of a false alarm on followers of the ECK Motorsport driver. Move for the lead. Down the inside goes Gonzalez. Back to P1, back to where he likes to be at Cartodromo Internacional Lucas Guerrero. But yeah, back to tyres. 2 sets of tyres for everybody. Zutron now goes down the inside of Gonzalez to take the race lead. This is where you've now got to conserve. You've got to make this first set of tyres that has taken them through qualifying and the 2 heats so far. You've got to make them go as long as possible to use the... Oh, Gonzalez down the inside through turn 15. What a move. That is off the road now through the chicane. And one of the kids to win is coming through. Kenton Craig is out wide on the curb. this one has spiced into life all of a sudden. We're on to lap 5. Utron is your race leader.
I had no words there. It was just noises coming out of me throughout that one. That was unbelievable driving from the field. But my goodness, how they've all put it back into order now. I can imagine Eloy Gonzalez was having moments there thinking, what happened in my previous race? It was kind of got into a situation like this, and then it all went Pitong. But right now, he is focused now. He's back with that lead group. He's with Utron. They're broken away. But my goodness there, Christian Carrero, you can see him there now in 3rd place. Well, he's got his fellow Kids to Win driver right behind him, Adrian Martinez, winner of this event last year. However, he has got Kenzo Craig and Cian Geraghty going absolutely wheel-to-wheel behind them into that final chicane. No drama this time around. They push themselves along nicely.
Important laps here for Utron and Gonzalez, that they keep working together because they've got an opportunity to hold that gap away from the rest of the field. For the remaining 6 laps of this race. Back on board with Hugo Besson on your screens, currently in 7th place. Cian Geraghty, who took a heat win yesterday to kick off his IAME Winter Cup campaign, is there in 6th place. Kenzo Craigie and Adrian Martinez. It's down the inside. Hello, Ruben Moya. That was a very Ruben Moya-like move, taking away 8th place from Hugo Besson. That was fantastic.
It certainly was. Just sneaking into view there off the left-hand side. You know, at that point, do you know what I was watching? I was watching that front left tyre and just watching it get chewed up through that tight and twisty section. Here we go.
Again?
Into the fast section. Eloy Gonzalez, take a bow on that one. Knows this circuit well and is utilising that knowledge to his advantage here. Through they go past over the start-finish line onto lap 7 now of 11. And all the meanwhile, I still believe that Caballero will close in. Craigie's got in between the two Spaniards. And Adrian Martinez back down to P5 now. But Geraghty closing in. There's more drama on the start-finish straight right outside our commentary box. I can see one kart has dropped to the back of the field. There's more drama there. And, well, they're consoling each other to make sure they're okay. And, right, okay, so that is, I think, Julian Bertbacher, and is that Luna Claret, I think it is. Yeah, so Luna Claret's walking off and sitting on the tyre barrier now. Clearly, she's in a little bit of discomfort there, but you were seeing there as well the comfort from Julian Bertbacher there, just to say, you know, sorry, are you okay? It's good to see, but clearly they've had a big moment out there.
Marcus Gloom was the kart that we saw out of our window. Anthony has broken down on the pit straight, so that's another driver out of this race. Marlon Bayer is under investigation, but is already out of the running. That was one of the drivers involved in the incident down at turn 1. Moya on the move, down the insiders, off the circuit goes Adrian Martinez. Gets on back ahead of Marius Barryberg there in the 2:35. It is getting a little bit fraught out there in the X30 series, but this is what can happen in a one-off event. You know, when we get into later in the season, when we get into those IAME Euro Series rounds, they'll be thinking championship points and conserving and making sure they're still in the battle later on in the season as Hugo Besson goes down the inside again of Martinez there. This is a one-off event. No championship points. Everybody in it to win it. You either take the big prizes this weekend or you don't. It produces brilliantly entertaining racing like this, and we're still only in the qualifying heats.
No, exactly that. And of course, you have to remember that we are at that stage of the weekend where no one has won everything so far. There's always been
there's chances to be had.
Yeah, there's chances to be had, which is why the temperature is a bit more intense out there for the drivers to really gain those momentum and those places. But it is still Geraghty who lead. No, it's not Geraghty. I think our time screen is having a bit of a mare at the moment, so we'll keep a close eye on this one. It's still Eloy Gonzalez who leads the way at the moment, and you can see Clement Utron just trying to close that gap back up right now, but he is not doing so. Geraghty currently in P5. That now updates, so clearly transponder glitches happening for him.
Yeah, and good work to get him back involved. Oh, Craigie down the inside of Caballero. This is the thing, I know I've said it many times before, Kenzo Craigie, racecraft-wise, made a big shift in the middle part of 2024 when he was in the junior category, and it served him well on the way to winning those 2 top-level titles. It is good to see that success has prepared him nicely for seniors. He already looks comfortable with the senior style of racing, of making overtakes as cleanly as possible, not being too ragged, not throwing it in there and trying to bully other drivers off the road, which you can sometimes see with younger drivers. And I say that was a nice move past Caballero for third place. Investigation flag for the 250 of Julian Brubaker. That's not going to be too consequential in terms of this race, because Brubaker is already out of this race.
Yeah, he certainly is. Well, motion's happening thick and fast. We're nearing the end of this race as well, as now the drivers see the last lap board go up. And, well, for Eloy Gonzalez, he can just think now, right, this is more like it, this is what we need. Focus, one more lap, get it to the end.
And he's not got too much pressure from Clement Luchon. I think Clement Luchon will be happy with this.
P2,
but
yeah.
Again, I would question the second half of the race pace. He starts quickly, and then it just seems to fizzle out a little bit, and he's not able to be on the attack in the latter stages of these heats. So maybe a bit of setup work to think about for the Dream Racing team. Into turn 11, Eloy Gonzalez looking nice and calm, and is going to get back on track. He can afford to have one bad race across the course of this program. This is more like it. He's going to fight his way back through the points, I am sure, as Uchon and Craigie are fighting over second place in the last couple of corners. But Uchon's going to hold on. Gonzalez takes the heat win. Uchon P2, Craigie P3, Caballero and Geraghty across in the top 5 as well.
Gotta say, that ending was a stark difference to what we were seeing in the early stages of that race. A lot more cool, calm and collected versus earlier on. I thought we were going to lose out in the top 10 there, all being crashed out, but amazing stuff. To the end of that one. Eloy Gonzalez then of Spain will be happy with that result after the retirement earlier on. He will be on his way up and forward. Clement Uchon taking that second place ahead of Kenzo Craigie. Caballero finishing in P4 ahead of Kian Geraghty. Arias Barryberg from Ruben Moy. Hugo Besson from Sam Woolley. Adrian Martinez in the end of that one, dropping down to P10 after he was battling away with his fellow teammate there inside that top 5. Thomas Hansen finishing in P11. Levato Pukinen and Luke Taylor. Mark Granada and Aaron Kivalo finishing inside that top 15. 11 places gained.
A very good move up the order for the Estonian there. Elias Lehmann in 16th place. Tristan Powell, Morgan Knudsen. Good drive there from Morgan Knudsen. Needed a performance through the field. Gained 9 spots to P18. Raul, Luis Martinez and Nico Garcia complete the top 20. There is your provisional result for you on your screens. Marcus Shalkunas, more overtakes through the field, just not quite at the rates that we saw in the first 2 rounds. A gain of 7 for the Lithuanian, up to P21. Joao Barros, P22. And then a quartet of drivers who all gained 7 places in that one. Wellens, Haraste, Crespo and Alatori. Quite a few retirements and drivers who had problems. Max Kammerlander again, that could be quite a pivotal point in his weekend, because that's 2 bad results now for the Swiss driver. Marcus Gloom had problems on the pit straight. Luna Claret and Julian Brubaker were involved in an incident just coming on into sector number 3. Marlon Bayer, Rosander the driver, were out down at turn 1 early in the race, and Harrison Mackie had problems on the formation lap.
Yeah, indeed. So some names there, certainly, who are wanting to come back stronger a little bit later on in this weekend. And just looking there at the body language of Eloy Gonzalez there, I think, you know, better mood, but still not in a good mood with those results earlier on.
Yeah, he knows he's got still work to do. He's got to race when he's back on the board, but he's got to keep that going for the rest of the today to make sure that he's in a decent position for the super heats tomorrow. Here was your race start. Kenzo Craigie, not the best of starts for Kenzo Craigie. Gave himself a bit of work to do. Was down to 5th place by the time they came off of turn 2. This was the view on board with Hugo Besson. Another good race for Hugo Besson. Fighting into turn 1. And this is the thing now, as the temperatures start to rise, we're getting to the warmer part of the day. The tyres, they're getting older as well. It'll be interesting to see at what point someone rolls the dice to go put the new tyres on.
Yeah, indeed. We were seeing there Hugo Besson going down the inside there. We were seeing Harrison Mackie, and it looked to me like a throttle problem there because they were playing around with it. So big shame for him. This was the start of, I think, the quite early on hectic battle here. Utron down the inside, Gonzalez fighting back, and there you go. Well, Romano there just going to the aid, actually. Razan Den Driver there running to the aid of fellow competitor there, Julian Burbacher, to make sure he's okay. Marlon Bayer as well. So Marlon Bayer certainly taking a big knock there at turn number 1, but hopefully is okay. Right, there you see Elo Gonzalez getting back through. Then this is where it all started to heat up, because then you saw Hugo Besson get involved. Now Elo Gonzalez gone back down to 3rd. He then did this. Ooh. Wow, that was a risky moment there, because of course it clipped the grass at one point as well, and then you had the kids to win card of Caballero coming into play there. Elo Gonzalez going off the track. Kenzo Craigie going full wide over the start-finish line, and there was the view from Besson's position. There's Craigie on the outside. He was fully off the track there. That was incredible that he kept his foot in it.
I say Kenzo Craigie will be glad that it's a nice warm day, because otherwise that curve can get very tricky. Ruben Moya was down the inside, in the end would finish P7. This was round 2 of Gonzalez making moves, part of the circuit where you've got to be very, very brave to do that. This was another incident. This was Luna Claret, unfortunately, out of the race, and looking in a bit of discomfort there. Julian Burbacher also on the scene, just trying to get her some help there. Moya down the inside of Mistienes there. Mistienes, I still wouldn't count Mistienes out. Yes, he's not won any heats so far, but he hadn't won any heats this stage 12 months ago, and we all know what happened once we got to Sunday. He was a new driver when we got onto finals. They could do it again. Race continued on. In the end, pretty comfortable for Eloy Gonzalez. Clement Utron held 2nd place ahead of Kenzo Craigie, Christian Caballero and Kian Geraghty in the top 5. That Geraghty result is interesting, Anthony, because it means that Danny Caronini now sits on his own in the lead on 2 points. Geraghty drops to 6th in the live points. Now, obviously, he's got a race in hand over the likes of Munier, Ramakas, Ogrodovchik and Bird. But maybe pressure a little bit off Danny Caronini, and for Bird, Ogrodovchik, Ramakas and Munier, this is an opportunity for them to move up. That's all for later, though, because we've got the next race coming up. Before we get to it, though, let's have a little listen to what Andy Rattel had to say yesterday after qualifying.
Here with Andy Rattel, fastest driver in the final group of qualifying for X30 Senior. But Andy, I'm sensing a little bit of frustration. You were quickest in free practice this morning. You were quickest in each of the sectors, but not quite over on an overall lap. Just missing out on beating Thibaut Ramakas' time there.
I think the problem was my best lap is in my 2nd lap. In 3rd lap, one guy in front of me was slow, so that's a bit a shame, but it's good for the heat.
I think you can take confidence, though, from the fact that the pace lap by lap seems to be there. That's a good indicator for when we start racing later on this afternoon. And the Pantanos, not just yourself, your teammate Ruben Moya, you're looking quick this week.
Yeah, we are fast. Now we need to see in the fight and see where we are tomorrow night and where we can finish Sunday.
And building on from a really positive 2024, you were a consistent runner-up in the top 10 wherever we raced last season. What have you been working on? What do you think is going to make the difference in 2025?
I don't know what will be the difference. Maybe don't finish all the heats and start a bit better in the final, not 10 or 15 like last year. So we need to work on this, but I think it can be a good year.
And in terms of setup, bit of time now to get the karts ready for the first set of heats. Is there anything in particular that you're going to be working on?
We will check the data, but I think no, it's good like this. I don't know why we need to change. So.
Well, great lap, Andy, and I'm sure we're going to be seeing you at the front for a lot of the races this weekend.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, there we go. Great to chat to Andy Rattel there, but it didn't go all his way in his first race, did he? Dropped back quite a bit, but hopefully he'll fight back stronger. Yeah,
a little bit, unfortunately, of a repeat of what he was talking about there with 2024. What let him down with it was his heats. But this is another opportunity for him to take a win. He starts on pole position. Danny Caronini, current points leader, alongside on the front row. Peter Stiller and Morgan Moore in row 2.
Lewis Bird and Merrill Peldis on row 3, Kevin Lantinga and Luis Tortmar on row 4, Arthur Huang and Maximiano da Silva go from row 5. Alberto Hurtado and Hugo Marti go on row 6. Juan Aluja had a very good first heat yesterday afternoon, starts on row 7 alongside Sven van der Heijden. Row 8 is Kevin Bakker and Daniel Mota.
Row number 9 sees Samuel Ifrit in his first international appearance here in the IAME Winter Cup. He starts his one on row 9. He'll have Enrique Galambert alongside. Row 10 sees Roxanne Lantinga and Robbie Buckley, followed by Guido Bedoldi and Tristan Zolzauer on row number 11. Isaac Say and Vilma Svan. Svan, who's gone for a brand new set of boots out there. They'll start just ahead of Marcel Matijevich and Gaimes Merkelbach on row number 13. Sebastian Cherezov and Yanis Maton on row 14. They'll have Bru Freccia and Lorenz Marcos on row number 15. Michael Gorecki and Peter Gorecki go from row number 16. And all Polish row 16, the field will be rounded out by Raphael Bouillard from Belgium. Drama out on circuit, Andrew. I'm just looking at my screen there. One car out of formation.
It's Rafa Bouillard who's having a really, really tough weekend. And, well, say problems before the race has even started. Will be able to easily retake his position in 33rd in the field, but not what you want on the formation lap.
No, evidently not. Well, let's see what happens at the start of this race, though. Andy Rattel and Danny Caronini on the front row of this one. France versus Italy in this qualifying heat. We are lights out and racing down in towards turn number 1. Good start for the inside row there, but Danny Caronini had the pace around turn 1 earlier on. He's showcasing that now, holds on to second place around the outside.
This is what we've seen from Andy Rattel so far this weekend. Very quick starts, similar to what we've been seeing with Clement Lutron as the problem for one of the MDCs out there. I think that might have been Daniel Mota. Yes, it was. Daniel Mota, I say, is not having the best of weekends. He's finding it tough on his step up to the X30 senior category here at the IAME Winter Cup. But no, this has been a positive start for Andy Rattel. Now it's about converting the opportunity into a race victory. The problem, though, it is the red helmeted stallion of Danny Caronini chasing him down. Caronini has two main ways of winning races: being in the Andy Rattel position, breaking away by a second and a half, and then going into conservation mode, or the other way round as Lewis Bird goes down the inside of Morgan Moore for what is 4th place, just chipping away at a leader's lead, putting them under that pressure, and then pouncing in the mid-phase of the race. We've still got a few more laps before we get to that stage, but let's keep an eye on those sector time to see, is Caronini pulling Rattel in? And he is. He's already taken a 10th and a half, out of Rattel in sector number 1.
There is that confirmation on Vilma Svan for the Falcon Racing team from Sweden. Brand new set of boots all on board. Early deployment of that one. Still a lot of heats to go, but of course for someone who's, you know, not at the back, but has qualified 24th and is starting 24th, it's a lot of work that's got to be done ahead. You would think probably a smart move to deploy those earlier than later.
Yeah, but Vilma Svan needs something to change. It's we haven't seen Vilma Svan coming through the field lots and lots of positions, so I don't want to say it's a desperate move, but he needs to change something to get a good result on the board. Give him something to build from once we get into rounds 4 and 5. New fastest start from Lewis Bird, 56.385. Caronini down the inside, takes the lead away from Andy Rattel and opens the door as well for Peter Stiller. That was brilliant from Caronini, and now he'll hit the pedal hard to try and break away from the rest of them. Rattel fights back very nicely indeed to retake second place. Lewis Bird's eyes are going to be opening here. We've already seen him have a very strong move through the front ends of fields, particularly on the brakes into turn 1, so keep an eye on the red and white BMR as we go through this chicane.
Certainly so, and this is going to start to heat up quickly here now because Rattel takes a lot of curb on that second apex. That will not benefit his exit here. Will he suffer into turn 1? The answer to that is no. Still has that pace, so that's good to see for Rattel maintaining these ones. I'm going to be keeping an eye on that group just behind as well. Morgan Moore, Peldis, Kevin Lantinga as well, because Peldis has just set the fastest lap of the race and is pushing along Morgan Moore in the background. You just saw it, both of them off the track. Peldis and Moore off the track. It was just in the background as they went through the shots. Peldis is out there. She is. Morgan Moore is still in this race, and that is a disaster for the young driver. And again, they'll tumble down the order, and as they were closing in, the pace was quick. It just went to tears.
Well, I say that we've not seen it so far this weekend, but that's why overtaking in the infield section is so difficult. There's a lot of corner speed through that part of the circuit, and you just get a little bit of contact and disaster arrives quickly. We're on to lap number 5. Danny Caronini is not breaking away here. Andy Rattel is keeping him pretty honest. Very nicely indeed. Andy Rattel, new fastest lap of the race, 56.127. Lewis Bird there in 3rd. Looking further down the order, Sam van der Hayden's just gone up to 12th place. Robbie good to see Robbie Buckley back out on circuit, Anthony, because he had that sizable crash in the previous round. As out is Kevin Bakker, going no further for KCR Racing Team in this particular heat. It's becoming a really tough weekend for the Dutchman.
Yeah, indeed. Daniel Motor as well. He's also tumbled down the order in the 268, down 13 places, of course. So, again, big, shaky races for many of them. Eyes on this, though. Top 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 on your screen there. Caronini, Rattel, Bird, and Peter Stiller pushing their way along. There is Kevin Lantinga just in the background there as well. Now, Kevin Lantinga in the race prior to this one, finished the race. After the finish line, broke down. There's a move down the inside, and it will be Lewis Bird going for the move on Andy Rattel. Nicely done for him. And Merrill Peldis there, seeing a warning flag that comes with 5 seconds. That, I suspect, will be that incident that we called earlier on.
Yeah, the one with Moore. I'm a little concerned that I've got for Andy Rattel is, again, looking at the patterns and how these races are going. Lap 5, lap 6. It's happening again with Andy Rattel in free practice and qualifying, you know, being able to hit 2, 3, maybe 4 laps in a row at really high pace. He could do that, but something keeps happening, it would seem, with the 206, that when we get into the middle phase of the race, let's have a look at the incident again.
This is the Peldis and Moore crash, so don't watch this group. Watch just behind now, coming into shot, over the curb, clips that rear quarter there, and Moore goes off, and for that one, Peldis has received a warning flag. There's another angle of it there. Yeah, clips that curb, unsettles the car, ping, it goes up, and that's a very unfortunate one for both of them, but Peldis coming away worse off there, but also getting that penalty.
Yeah, so it just took too much of the curb, and Morgan Moore's view on it, I'm sure, will be, well, I left room. I left room to race down the inside for a kart width, so unfortunate for both of them. Moore is still running in this race, just a little bit further down the order. Just to come back to those drivers coming through the field, Robbie Buckley, after that big off earlier, is not only back out on circuit but also moving through the field. Has gained 7 places, is up to P13. He's got Vilmos Svan behind him, so those new tyres are working for the Swedish driver, who's, well, in fact, now just taken that 13th place away from Robbie Buckley. That's a gain of 11 now for Svan. Merkelbach is on the move as well, up 10 spots to P16. Motta and Marcos as well. Good moves to the field. 9 places each, up to 21st places respectively.
Yes, indeed. Right. Andy Rattel now, fastest lap of the race. It's one of those, isn't it?
That's a Carlton driver's response to my comment about a lap and a half ago to just go, shush.
Yes.
The pace is back for the 206, and that's good news for Rattel now for the latter stages of this race.
There's been some more drama out on circuit as well, just out the commentary box window, not on camera. A couple of other drivers getting spat out the same corner. We saw Peldis and Moore go off, but they're both back in the race. But eyes on these ones here now, and yeah, with Danny Caronini, he's looking pretty confident here, is the Italian. Last year's IAME Euro Series senior champion, certainly showcasing why he is a senior champion. But here, Rattel, again, he said he set the fastest lap of the race earlier on, showcasing that he wouldn't get close enough to Danny Caronini.
Probably not, but I think for the sake of the point situation, he's got to try. He's got to try and get past it. The other good news for Rattel right now is the numbers game. We've only got 4 karts in this group. So even if he goes for a bit more of a risky move on Bird and it doesn't quite work out, as long as he can keep it on the track, of course, you know, he's only going to drop to around 4th place. Kevin Lantinga is 2.5 seconds back from this group.
Exactly so. Going on to lap number 10 now. It is nearing the end of this race. 9 laps completed. And again, Danny Carinini just checking over the shoulder. Rattel once again looking like he wants to go for that move to the inside, but Bird just covers it off nicely to a way that he's not over-defending, but he's not losing time.
Well, it's the other side of what we've seen from Lewis Bird so far today. He's done a lot of overtaking. He is mega on the brakes.
Yeah.
Absolutely mega on the brakes is Lewis Bird. The BMR team have done a really nice job on the setup of that kart. Bird's now using it the other way to defend of like, you can't out-brake me. You can't get through me past turn 1, turn 11 and turn 17. In fact, it's now flipping the other way. Carinini's not got this one won yet. He lost 2/10 on the previous lap and is now being closed in. Now, this could be Danny Carinini just preserving tyres. He is a master at doing this, but this is going to be a good scrap. Going on to the final lap, keep an eye on Bird. We're going into his favourite overtaking zone now at the end of lap number 10. Checks over the shoulders of Bird. He's not close enough. He's not going to do it from all the way back there. Vilmos Svan has just come up on a board. 210 under investigation.
That'll be a shame, but eyes on this one. And yeah, right in saying Danny Carinini's left door open. Oh, Bird's trying to go down the inside and he's done it. Lewis Bird down the inside in the infield section through turn 6. And he's just got it done. And Danny Carinini will be kicking himself at that one. I don't think he meant to do that one at all. And now he's diving to the inside. Here on the outside, Peter Siller's trying to go for the move, but Rattel covers that attack off pretty promptly. Now, I think we're going to see Carinini retaliate here. He wants to keep this score as low as possible because with this, Bird would take the intermediate classification lead, so he needs to get this one back. Bird's going to go defensive on the inside. Danny Carinini leaves the door open, though. Rattel's going to go down the inside. It's not going to be close enough. Peter Stiller, can he get 3rd place in this one? He can't. It's so close, though. Oh my goodness, that was close for 3rd place between Rattel and Stiller, but Bird takes it, and with that, takes the new intermediate classification lead.
That's what we're talking about. X30 Senior is a wide open book this weekend at the IAME Winter Cup to kick off this IAME Cross Europe season. Lewis Bird, well, he was on the podium here last year in that crazy final. And he's definitely looking like to be one of the contenders in 24 hours' time. That is a win. He's on 3 points and still with a race to go in this round. No one can knock him off the top spot in this rotation. Sure, we've still got 2 rounds of heats to go, but Lewis Bird and Team BMR are on top at this stage. They'll return to Parc Fermé, go through all the mandatory checks, and in a moment we'll have a look at the provisional results. And in the end, it wasn't a move on the brakes. It was one of the more sweeping moves through the infield section, but very impressive nonetheless from the young Briton. Gained 4 places in that race. Rest of the field coming on in. Let's have a look at that provisional results. Bird from Carinini, Rattel, Stiller, Kevin Lantinga P5, Juan Aludia, that's more like it, P6, ahead of Arthur Huang. Alberto Hurtado moved through the field, up 3 spots to 8th. Maximiano da Silva, Luis Tort completes the top 10. Roxanne Lantinga 11th. Vilmos Svan in 12th place, but is under investigation for something that's happened out there. So that was the effect of the new tyres going up to those 12 positions. Sam van der Hayden, Hugo Marti and Isaac Sayer all in the top 15. Merkelbach, Buckley, Marcos, Slokshauser, and Gurecki all in the top 20. Daniel Motor, P21. Jalabert, P22. Gurecki, Moore, Bidoli, all with work to do after disappointing results there in the top 25. Matijevic, Cherisov, Fraser, Martin, and Ifrid, the last 30 winners. 3 retirements from that race. Kevin Bakker, Merrill Peldes, and Rafa Boulard. Not good news for Boulard. That is going to pretty much be weekend over and hopes of getting through to those super heats gone.
Yeah, like I say, that was Bouliard there. That was quite a big off. He went into the
it was on
tyre
the
barrier
formation
there.
lap,
Yeah, that was quite an off he had there. So this was the start, though, of that race. And again, inside line working well. Rattel controlling that one. Peter Siller as well, able to follow through as well. There was the spin in the early stage there, right to the back. That was the 268 that we were talking about. That's Daniel Motor. That's the reason why he dropped down so many places, though. Managed to gain some back, though, back up to 21st place, but still lost out a lot. Rattel dropping backwards then at that point. Danny Carinini taking the lead and pulling everyone along for the ride there, but straight to the inside, Peter Siller. Certainly a very strong start for him in that one, Andrew.
Yeah, and I say this quartet all raced well, but particularly Andy Rattel. His job at keeping Danny Carinini in check was very important for all four of them. You know, we normally see Danny Carinini just have this ability to race away from the rest of the field. That didn't happen on this occasion. In the middle of the race, we saw problems for Kevin Bakker. That was the 259 out of the race. We also, of course, saw the issues with Mel Peldes and Morgan Moore. That was the move by Bird up to P2. And I say, it wasn't one on the brakes. He just got his nose in there and went, I am having this corner, Danny Carinini. That would be the key move that gives Lewis Bird not only this race win, but also the lead in that intermediate classification.
I say there was a whisper of a gap because you saw he was going for it. Then he backed out and then he went again for it. So it was just that fine, minute moment. But he got it done, takes the race win, and also takes the intermediate classification lead ahead of the man he just beat on track, Danny Carinini. 3 to 4 points for them, but there's still one more senior race to go before we head into the midway break of the day. It is qualifying heat A versus D. That is coming up next. And for this one, well, Thibaut Ramaker's a brilliant start for him over the course of this one. He had some good races earlier on, taking the wins. Dropped back earlier on, of course, the breakdown that happened over the line. I'm sure that was a disaster for him. However, one driver who was certainly impressed in this one, Zach Green, stepping up to seniors, really delivering in this one and coming away with a solid time in qualifying. Here's what he said after time qualifying. First qualifying session of the season in 2025, IAME Winter Cup. Group 1 in seniors and pole position. Zach Green, great time from you there. That kind of snuck in at the last second. How did it feel out there on circuit?
Yeah, it felt really good. We've done quite a few qualifying simulations in practice, so I've had a few opportunities to get into a good rhythm. I waited as long as possible, really. Went out by myself and just kept putting the laps in, and then the last one was good enough for pole.
Do you think that's what managed to clinch it there, not having any other traffic around you? There is a slipstream opportunity here, but you felt like you had enough pace to not even worry about that?
In the practice sessions before, even by myself, I've been quite fast, so we just trusted that and thought we're better off to be at least top 3 rather than getting traffic and then being slowed down.
This is obviously a brand new season. There are more drivers who have stepped up from the juniors and everything like that. Are you feeling confident still that you can manage it with the experience that you've learnt so far?
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely going to be difficult racing against the big dogs, as you would call them. But I think I've got the pace and just work on the racecraft, and I think I'll be all right.
Excellent. Well, congratulations. We'll see you out there on track.
Thank you.
And so far for Zach Green, it's been a pretty decent run of affairs out there, currently sitting 7th in that intermediate classification. Right, drivers have made their way out onto the circuit. Let's take you through that full starting lineup. Thibaut Ramekers and Zach Green on row number 1. Munir and Patrick Ogrodovchik on row number 2. Nikita Nikishov and Lucas Frederick on row 3. Thibaut Kempf and Clovis Nugarade on row number 4. Riccardo Ferrari and Roman Saleh on row 5. They'll have Faris Jalil and Alex Pinheira on row number 6. Oscar Goodshow and Matt Corby go from row 7. Marie Barryberg will be all on her own on row number 8, as Freddie Lloyd once again has not taken to the track.
Second half of the field, Martin Almeida and Noel Sundberg go from row number 9. Sebastian Verheer and Kian Gauci go from the 10th row of the grid. Nicholas Simic and Thomas Gomez go from row 11. Luca Leistra had a good drive earlier on today. Starts this one from row 12 alongside Alfonso Ferreira. Row 13, Stylianos Kolobos flying the flag for Greece. Is joined by Malta's Benjamin Borge. Luca Mann and Charlie Gloom go from row 14. Gloom needing a good result here. It's been a tough week so far for the Belgian. Sean Hogan still on that recovery drive after a difficult start to things yesterday. The Irish driver starts on row 15. Is joined by Spain's Alejandro Suarez. Dylan Patel and Victor Sundberg go from row 16. Victor Ajoter, the Frenchman, completes the 33 scheduled field, but as mentioned, Freddie Lloyd does not take the start.
Big shame for that one. Right, drivers all starting to form themselves up now at the front of this field. Thibaut Ramicas and Zach Green on that front row for this one. That is going to be an exciting start for them. But of course, you have to remember Seneminier, who has been following along the fellow Belgian on the fellow VDK kart. Has been working with his teammate Ramicas to push themselves along. We said it earlier on, Andrew, Patrick Ogrodovcik not one to rule out. Great qualifying. He's right there in the points. He's third in the points. Can't go higher from that one. But he's now battling with Ramicas here. Now, I think we're going to be going round again. And yes is the answer to that. False start. So clearly someone not too happy with that one.
No, I'd say this is one of the nice things of this stage of the season. We've been talking a lot about in this case for the seniors, the drivers moving up for junior. But it means we get new matchups that we either haven't seen before or we haven't seen for a while. And you do, over the course of the season, you see drivers get used to how each other race. And it's like, okay, with driver A, I might need to play some different tactics to when going up against driver B. There's not really any of that form book set at this stage of the season. So everyone, again, just goes for it at this IAME Winter Cup. And I say, Thibaut Ramicas versus Zach Green is a battle that we haven't seen for a while. Zach Green versus Patrick Ogrodovcik. Again, same case. And I was very impressed with Ogrodovcik in that last round. He's played himself into contention here. I don't think he necessarily needs to win this race because, as I say, it's so open this weekend in the X30 senior category. But he does have that 1 point advantage over Ramicas. I'm interested to see how Ramicas tackles the start here and how he plays the first 5 laps. That's going to be key because it's that age-old question of getting that lead, pushing away, not being vulnerable to any attacks into the braking zones, at the cost, though, of tyres.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's going to be all out for Ramicas on this one. I think it's going to absolutely send it. Here we go then, into those tram lines. Are we racing? Yes, we are. Down in towards turn number 1. Brilliant start for Ramicas. Zach Green getting caught out there massively, and so do others as well, because 2 going straight off. It's Ogrodovcik, one of them. Patrick Ogrodovcik straight off the circuit. There was 1 behind him as well. I didn't quite catch the number of that one. I think it may have been Thibaut Kempf. It is Thibaut Kempf off the circuit with him, and that was just front to rear bumper locked up, and they just went straight off together.
And the bad news for Thibaut Kempf, that's a second retirement from the races so far this weekend. We talk about you can afford 1 bad result. If you're one of the front runners, you know, another 4 top 10s will be enough to get you through to the top 72 cut-off for the superheats. When you have 2 bad results, you're looking sketchy at that point of making it through that cut-off, avoiding the consolation race, still having a chance of ultimately getting through to the final. So really not good news for Thibaut Kempf. Meanwhile, though, Thibaut at the front, Thibaut Ramicas has got a buddy in the shape of Zach Green. They've got an advantage over Seneminier, probably about, say, just by side about half a second. So we'll see if these two can work together.
Yeah, we'll have to see that one. We'll keep an eye on those gaps. However, I suspect Zach Green may want a win on this one. 265 going slowly there at the back. That is Alejandro Suarez, unfortunately going very slowly at the back of the field. The Spaniard who started this one P30 still down in that order. Hopefully can fight back in this race. But like you say, Ramicas and Green looking strong at this moment in time. But like you say, Riccardo Ferrari there in third place has just witnessed his fellow teammate and countryman, Danny Caronini, go to work in that first race. So I suspect he'll want to replicate, if not better, that result with Senna Munir as well. Right behind, also wanting to get involved with this one. No changes then in the top runners. They stay the same. Looking further back, someone who I want to keep an eye on here, Andrew, would be Noel Sundberg, who's gained a fair chunk of positions, 10 places in total.
It's funny what the prospect of your younger brother being further down the field, driving through himself, can do to your own performance. But yeah, the Swede is on the charge. Another driver I want to keep an eye on in this one. Actually, there's two. I'll come on to why in a minute. Clovis Nougared, we've not talked too much about the reigning French Senior X30 champion, but he had a decent start to this one, and he's just in that second group. He has just lost a position to the second driver that I want to talk about, Nikita Nikishov. Now, we saw earlier this morning, went across the big curb through turn 3, popped his chain off. Not good. There is one slight benefit to what happened there. He will have fresher tyres than everybody else around him, and he's using them to good effect right now. So keep an eye on the red and black with the yellow trim, the Auto Club RC2 Valles kart. Nikishov is up to 5th place.
Certainly is. Sorry, I just got sidetracked there. It's a huge battle of karts over the start-finish line behind this fight here. It's pretty epic to see. I think that's all the way down 18th downwards there in the background. But we do stay focused on this one. And Ramika's doing what we were feeling he was going to do. Purple sectors here and there. Fastest laps of the race as well. Continuing to try and break away from Zach Green just behind. And with this, you know, Ramika steps himself up to 3rd at the points. Of course, Ogrodovchik with the retirement now, he's tumbled down the order because he'll get a chunk of, what, 31 points to his name. So plus, obviously, with the retirement. So that's a huge disaster for him. With the lights, so Ramika's gets that kind of breath of fresh air, knowing that he can close that gap back up.
I say it's still going to be pretty tight in those intermediate classification points in the top 8. We're not seeing breakaway leaders like we saw at this stage 12 months ago from Marcus Luzio, Finn McLaughlin as mentioned, and Marius Barryberg was running pretty well at this stage. Barryberg is still in the mix, but he's not right up at the top. Sister Marie has just set the fastest lap of this race, 56.041, and Marie Barryberg moving through the field has gained 4 places, has just got past Luca Leistra for 12th place. Still a good net gain though for Leistra, 10 places gained for the Belgian. Charlie Gloom, another driver, maybe using some fresher tyres, is down the inside. Meunier on Ferrari, nice move by Senna Meunier there. And the VDK Racing 256 is up to 3rd.
I was expecting that move to come sooner rather than later. You know, they were running well together, no drama, but they could just see we're not catching the two up ahead. We need to change something. Senna Meunier going for the move past Riccardo Ferrari. Like you say, Nikita Nikishov right there, just behind now. Will be in that fight. So very interesting to see, but I think probably the right move there from Senna Meunier. And already you see how much he's broken away because Nikita Nikishov has now also got past Riccardo Ferrari. They are still squabbling for position there, and then you've got Shell there as well behind. He's closing in also. Good shows there. Also Matt Corby is there as well. Good to see.
Yeah, really good to see for those guys coming through. Air temperature going up, the information here in the box, at least in the shade. It's 16 degrees C. It'll be even warmer out there on track. It's a very open circuit here. Clovis Nougared is just making a little move in the background there on his compatriot Romain Soleil. That'll have been for 8th place. We're on lap 7. Oh, another big, I have to say, it makes me wince every time I see someone. I understand why they're doing it. It's down the inside. That's a nice move by a good show for 5th place. But it's so risky, the mechanical risk of just grinding out the bottom of the sprocket and taking a chain off. We've already seen it happen once today. It was a big factor in things at this race 12 months ago. As Ferrari has a little look here. This is a real head-scratcher for me, though, Anthony, that all of a sudden, for both Caronini and in the previous race and Ferrari now in this one, Zanki Motorsport boys just seem to have lost that last 1.5% of pace.
I understand what you're saying. For me, you know, Riccardo Ferrari, this is his first time at this circuit this weekend. All wheel to wheel there with Matt Corby. Corby just going through. And then if you think in that race that they were in together, you know, Carinini was giving Ferrari the lines, the braking zones, everything like that, was listening to him and was following along, and that worked out. And in that instance, pushed them along together. Versus in this one, they've been separated now, and then you just started to see the little weak points that are starting to kick in now, and that's no disrespect to them at all. But like you say, for Riccardo Ferrari, it's his first time here, and the fact that he's racing around at the front end of this, he's doing a brilliant job of it. Just loses out on that one there. That's Clovis Nogueira getting through. So he's a bit all over the place at the moment, but he's now going to dig deep, focus, push his way through. Ooh, tyres. Charlie Glum, brand new set.
Yes, I understand that one, because Charlie Glum had a mechanical and a retirement in an earlier round, so that's similar to what we're talking about with Vilma Svan. As Ferrari goes down the inside of Nogueira, that's a nice move, and Ferrari will be back up to P7. That's I need to get back in the game, let's get some new toys out. And it seems to be working for Glum because he's moving up the order. Nikashov is on the move. Nikashov, as far as we're aware, I don't think has put new tyres on, but his old tyres aren't as old as everybody else's because he hasn't done the full complement of laps that everybody's completed around him. So we are on that edge. I think we're on that edge at the moment where a fresher tyre really does make the difference of a driver gaining 10 to 15 places, or if it's right up at the front of the field, a crucial 2 or 3. And in fact, here again, good show down the inside of Nikashov. We love a move through turn 15 here in the comms box, even if it just makes us back away from the screen for a moment. That was really brave stuff from the Frenchman, and this one's come alive all of a sudden. Nikashov's in a difficult position there around the outside, but yet those better tyres, those younger tyres, he was able to hold around the outside through turns 1 and 2. You don't often see that, but this is all stacking up now behind Oscar Goodshow as Nikashov's back up into 4th, 5th place there. They're all queuing up for an opportunity. Marie Barryberg's in there in the 305. He's gained 7 places. Noel Sundberg is continuing the run up for the Swedish driver, who's now up into the top 10. Down the inside looks Goodshow again. Nikashov takes the position. This is a sterling effort by all of these drivers to keep it pointing in the right direction.
Absolutely superb. And remember, this isn't the battle for the lead. This is the battle for 3rd place downwards. The leaders are 7 seconds further up the road here as Nikita Nikashov is trying to make that cut as wide as possible. Goodshow is going to send it down the inside into the chicane. It's all pandemonium now as they've all run wide there going through. That's going to be a nightmare for the officials to try and sort out, but it's still wheel to wheel here in towards turn number 1. Goodshow is denying Nikita Nikashov a way through. Riccardo Ferrari is back in play here. He has pushed his way back through. It's exactly what he needed. He knows how to deal with situations like this. He won this one at Franciacorta, but there, 2 drivers unfortunately out of this. Yeah, it is indeed. Oh, both out of this race. They're waiting for a clear piece of track to try and sort that out. But on the final lap, that's disastrous. Back here, though, at the race leaders, well, they haven't got a clue what's going on for 3rd place right now. Ramakas to the line. He's going to claim another win.
He is indeed. The Belgian comes through the final chicane, out of the final corner. Thibaut Ramakas takes another win here this weekend in Valencia. Zach Green continues to impress P2. The battle for 3rd is still not decided. One car's going over the runoff there, and it's going to be Nikashov who takes 3rd on the road. And the next run, I think we had about, 15, 16 carts covered by 2 seconds there?
It was 3rd down to 24th you just saw there go across the line. That's a big jump if you mess that one up, isn't it? So brilliant, brilliant stuff. But like you say, for Thibaut Ramakas, did exactly what we thought he was going to do, put the hammer down and just went for it.
And I think the sensible thing there for both Ramakas and Green, and again, I've been really impressed with Zach Green in terms of his maturity at this, the first time in a senior level in international competition. And based on his results, you would have thought he'd been doing this for 2 or 3 years. They will have also been able to save a little bit of material, not necessarily have to go as hard on their tyres, just bring home those good points. So Ramakas wins it. That puts him up to third in the intermediate classification. Green there in second, and then a chasm back to Nikita Nikashov in third, and then half of Valencia came along. Munier, good show, Ferrari, Nugared, Corby, Frederick, Lystra. Good drive there from Luca Lystra again, up 13 spots into the top 10. Alex Pinheiro, Mari Barryberg, Martin Almeida, Charlie Gloom with that half set of new tyres up 14 spots to 14th. Sebastian Verheer in 15th ahead of Tomas Gomez, Stylianos Kolovos, Faris Jalil, Nico Simic and Victor Sundberg. That was your run down to 20th place. The gaps, 12.6 seconds behind the leaders for Nikashov, and then you go down to 20th, and yeah, it's about 2.5 seconds.
Well, there was that disastrous start for Patrick Ogrodovchik and Thibaut Kempf at the start of that one, just getting tangled up, and obviously Ogrodovchik not happy at all with that one, getting his frustration out, thankfully on the equipment, but not on anyone else. But yeah, still a shame to see. Eyes on this one though, Riccardo Ferrari in the early stages looking strong, just slowly started to eke backwards that little bit first with everyone getting through. You had Good Show get through, Zenominir get through, Nikita Nikashov also get through, and that was the start of that massive end battle, wasn't it? Everyone getting through. That was Good Show going through in the end of it, and it all just started to concertina up there, because how close could you get here? Matt Corby going for those moves as well. But absolutely superb racing. All the meanwhile, like we were saying, Ramikers and Green out of the equation completely at the end of this one. Like I say, they took that win by over 12 seconds.
Yeah, so you look at those results and you almost think like they're in different classes. But no, for Ramikers and Green, they got the job done. And Nikita Nikashov, I think the problem was he didn't have the best straight line speed, as there showed. Good Show just breezing past him on the run to turn 15. But with those slightly fresher tyres for Nikashov, he was quick in the corners. And that was the key element here. And for several times, we're talking about you can't go around the outside through turn 1. He nearly pulled it off there, did Nikita Nikashov. The unfortunate part of that big battle towards the end was seeing Noel Sundberg, who was up around 12 places from where he started. In the end, he lost 11 places. Rowan Soleil lost 20 as a result of that late collision.
Yeah, that's a big shame for them, though. Checker flag going out, though. Timo Ramikers, the Belgian, not taking the lead of the classifications with that breakdown earlier on, but certainly a good step in the right direction. He's back to third in the points, only 3 points behind Lewis Bird, who took that win earlier on ahead of Danny Carinini, who sits second. Well, we are going to be taking that short break now for lunch. We'll be back with the rest of the qualifying heats in around 40 minutes' time. If you are watching on YouTube, your broadcast now ends. It will resume after the break. If you're watching on motorsport.tv or on Facebook, don't worry, your broadcast is uninterrupted. Myself, Anthony Jordan, Andrew Mather in the box. We'll see you in around 40 minutes' time. Into the tram lines, the lights go green. Side by side over the line. Who's got it?
What a finish!
Absolutely love it. Around the outside, how on earth did he hold on to that one?
What a final, what a championship.